Alright, welcome guys, welcome everybody to the first episode of the HC review. Oh boy, wait, I actually... Nice echo there. Welcome everybody, welcome to the first episode of HC Review, the podcast slash reaction video channel slash analyst desk kind of format in which we watch speedruns together and records and talk about them and analyze them for you guys, so you guys can get a deeper understanding and appreciation for speedrun records in Guild Wars 2. First of all, let me welcome my two wonderful guests, all the way up there. Target, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Hello, I'm Harry. I play the Smoke Rose, and Rocker doesn't know that much about Speakless, so he asked me to come and explain the videos for him.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So that's why I'm here today.
And you actually brought Facecam, right? I think half of the chat is probably just here because you brought Facecam, which is hilarious.
Actually spent money on this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the effort. And right under him, but not any less valuable, Deaxxon, who are you and why are you here today?
Because you asked, and I am meta leader. Typical flex warrior main, I don't know. I like doing Guild Wars 2 raids, right?
I've been seeing you play more Renegade lately than Warrior, though.
Well, I'm not a good DPS player, or at least not a good Mirage, so I kind of just have to play whatever is available.
I see. We're kind of in the same boat there, apparently. People tell me that I have to play Renegade as well. All right, so today we're just going to watch... today's first episode is all about patch records, so maybe we should take a second and explain to all the people in chat who have no idea what a patch record is, about why we even care about patch records. So, a patch record is basically a record that was done during a certain balance period in Guild Wars 2, because you guys are all familiar with balance patches, right? And sometimes you have metas that are extremely strong and that lead to speed kills that are later unbeatable as a new class gets nerfed, right? For example, Scourge, Epi, that destroyed so many records back in the day, and some of them are still all-time and kind of unbeatable, so... Yeah, that's why
patch was quite good for unbeatable records too, to be fair.
It was, actually, right? There was a fair amount of all-time records beaten in this patch, so we have a lot of very cool runs to look forward to. I think we had, how many all-times were beaten? I think, 5 of them?
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5 actual, proper
I'm not sure we're going to see any of
records.
this patch either.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, not all that much has changed, I think. There might actually be... I think some of them are still beatable in this meta, since Mirage hasn't gotten hit as much, and... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, I guess. So, we've been thinking, instead of just going chronologically and starting with Vale Guardian, we just randomize it and just, jump from video to video and just watch them together and talk about them right as we go. But why don't we just start with Vale Guardian for now? I'm going to turn on the shuffle mode here. So everybody who's watching right now, what we're doing is we're on one of these sites called Sync Video. And as I turn on the video, these guys will see them as well. So all the reactions, we're all going to be at the same place all the time, right? So, why don't we just jump into it and start with Vale Guardian. So, this was a run by LN. Not much competition about Vale Guardian this patch, right? Why do you think that was, actually? Why do you think not many people went for Vale Guardian?
Just horrible grind for the first green RNG and the first blue spawn.
I mean, I feel like win one in general is kind of just press your buttons better, right? It's just... matter of DPSing harder.
Yeah, it's kind of
so it's just there's not much you can do to min-max it.
Well,
in terms of strategy.
You can always farm raptors at the opening of the entrance. Right? Let's jump into it. I'm just going to turn on the sound quietly in the background, and hopefully it won't overshadow anything. So there goes Nightmare's edgy video intro.
I'm not seeing it live.
He always takes so much time to edit it the opening to show like tips and stuff. So yeah, playing mostly Dragon Hunters and Power Chronos here, just like for the burst. And 2 Condi Holos, which is just like the best Condi class for like a toughness, for a low toughness boss like Vale Guardian. And the
Power Chronos did surprise me. The Power Chronos did surprise me on this kill.
Yeah,
My understanding, I thought it was only going to be good the first burn and then a lot worse in like the splits and stuff, but clearly not.
They kind of like their weakness is probably the split phase, right? That's why you want the Dragon Hunters, right? Because they have such great burst for split phases. And that's where the big time saves come from in most of these wing 1 kills, really, right? It's not really about boss DPS. It's actually about like the fastest split phases. Same for Gorzaval, really. That's why you save time on Gorzaval. Power Chrono does have a great advantage, though, in CC. Like, it's actually really good for CC as well.
Yeah, I guess for, like, mid-phase CC, like this one just now, like, having Power Chronos and shit's pretty, useful.
Also for the split phase CC, just, like, to make that bar meld really quickly. And I would actually say the biggest difficulty for, like, the DPS players on this is probably to adjust their, like, rotation to burst well in split phases, as well as boss phases, right? Because like you don't want to blow all your stuff in the boss phase and then have like just auto attacks for the split boss.
Yeah, like you can't save shit during the split. Like as you said, like the easiest way to save time or like beat records in wing 1 is being faster on split.
Yeah.
So, like you can't afford to save anything. So like kind of altering your main phase rotation to make sure you can burst better on the split phase might end up better overall.
Yeah. What do we take Power Chronos if DH out DPS them? Actually, Power Chrono is top DPS in this run, I think.
By quite a bit, too, I believe. Right?
I'm not sure if quite a bit. Oh shit, it already jumped. Let's just quickly jump back to that. This is all new, guys. I'm just dreading technical difficulties. I've talked about this before the podcast, right? Like, it's my first podcast, so I'm pretty much just dreading that something won't play or something, and I won't be able to fix it because it's my first time. But yeah, Power Chrono absolutely keeps up with DH here. And the CCs, for the split phases, I think, at least, it's really convenient for the split phases. It kind of allows the Dragon Hunter to save his Dragon Maul for DPS phases too, which is something we didn't do before. Like, on a casual run, we'd usually like either save the Dragon Hunter elite.
The split break bar, yeah.
Exactly, for the second one especially, but on this we didn't do that, right? Because like the CC was a little bit more min-maxed. Can I link the video? Of course I can, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like if you look at the log on this video, like on phase 3, like the Power Chronos are almost 10k above the DHs. Like in phase 1 as well, you're like 2 to 5k above. Like yeah, on split phase it's kind of dog shit, but like main phase, it's like strong. The only thing is, I guess on the second phase, you haven't got CS back up, so you're going to be lower than the DHs.
Yeah.
Which is a drawback, I guess, but still.
But overall,
phase 3,
this is actually, fun fact, this isn't even the fastest kill that was done, right? The record is actually a 2 minute 6 second time, which just didn't have a video. It just had the log uploaded to Radar. But yeah, let's quickly look at the log, and you can see overall DPS Power Chrono was just slightly the highest, just like 100 DPS higher than the Dragon Hunter. But in the phases, right? You can see in first phase he's actually slightly higher. And second, exactly as you said, right? Second phase they're lower, and then on phase 3 they make their comeback pretty big actually. So
yeah, I guess phase 3 you come back with like full burst, CS, like everything.
Yeah.
And,
that's pretty good. Like maybe other comps are better, right? The thing is, Vale Guardian didn't get too much competition, and I think like a speedrun really only hits its best potential when people compete over it, right? Yeah. Like if SC had gone and had gone to VG, and had beaten it, and I'm sure they could have beaten it because like this, I mean, even Alen beat their own run like later on, right? If any other guild had come around and said we want to beat this Vale Guardian, they would have found a slightly better comp, and then maybe we would have come back and like tried to find a better comp as well, right? And, like, which is kind of what happened to Gauzeval as well, right? People like just compete about it, and eventually,
Or of
like,
course,
the times
they could
get
just
better and
copy the
better.
comp and play it better.
Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely true. But usually people like don't do that anymore. People at least want to change up something slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma makes my day so much better. What's up, Nico? Welcome. My favorite moderator has arrived. To keep the chat clean, obviously. We're gonna have big drama later, I guess. Right? Once we hit Gauzeval, I think there's gonna be spicy stuff going on. There's gonna be spicy stuff going on. Yeah, and other than that, I don't think there's too much interesting to talk about Vale Guardian. Again, it's it's pretty much the oldest boss in the game. So there's not much big reinvention of the wheel. I guess the most fancy, did that actually happen during this patch period, or was that before?
The triple split?
Exactly, that people
I
started
think it
triple
was
splitting.
the end of the last patch. But yeah, that's definitely
patch.
something new for most players, probably.
Yeah, because people are probably, if you're pugging raids, you're probably used to like a two-way split, right? Where green gets pulled to blue, and people go to, and then obviously the condies go to red. So I think, who was the first one who did that? I think actually DP did this first.
I believe it was DP, yeah.
Yeah, they started like splitting up in 3 small groups, and that actually ended up being faster than pulling green to blue. Alright, I just want to catch up with chat as well. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's all the interesting stuff about this. Really is like, it's a 3-way split, which is kind of different from what we most people are probably used to. Would you recommend a 3-way split to like a regular group?
To pugs?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe I should have started with a disclaimer like this earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at any of these runs and take them as the best strat overall, just like period. Because these runs are...
for pugs, this strat, I don't think you'd like. You don't need the time save, but I do notice like a lot of people just like not being able to out heal the splits with the Green Guardian on top of them with the D. So if you have the break bar, like maybe it is better actually. It's a break bar damage for both Guardians.
That's actually an interesting thought, right? Usually I feel like when I play healer in a pug run, as soon as like people split off and don't have their own healer anymore, they just die, right? Even if there's no field to damage them.
You just can't be brain dead at green.
Yeah.
Like, and just like tank orbs and stuff like that. They're like, you see pugs do, just running around in circles trying to catch them.
Yeah.
And like, as soon as you start doing stuff like that, then yeah, it's...
And of course, like if you only have 3 people in that blue Guardian, everybody has to go to the green and everything.
That's true. Actually, I see a fair amount of, like, if you do this, the 2-way split, I see a fair amount of pugs even being able to, like, burst blue so fast that you don't even have to green, right? Which I remember, like half a year ago, or like a year ago even, that was like something that Speedler guilds like tried to achieve, right? Bursting them fast enough to like not get greens. And now it's something that you kind of see in pug runs.
the power creep.
Yeah. Feels good, man.
But yeah, I would totally want to see this strat adopted into pug runs. And also, I guess something that we didn't mention is you guys are food swapping on the splits, right?
Oh, yeah. You can actually food swap. Let's actually see. I'm not sure if we... Actually, we probably did this.
Yeah, he does at Evergreen.
He has his inventory up and everything.
Oh, yeah, look at this tryhard, food swapping.
So you can proc extra power right when you kill the Guardians for the burn phases.
Yeah. Exactly. So what you can do basically is like the split phases count for swap food, right? The 2-6 run on Raider was actually without food swap. Yeah, see, this was not even like a great run. Sad that nobody competed for VG, honestly. I always enjoy runs more when like people compete on them.
I think it's what you said though, like Wing 1's quite linear.
Yeah.
Like, it's difficult to find something that's like actually new rather than just grinding Like,
yeah,
just,
nobody
like,
wants to
different
just
comp.
copy paste a strategy, and
You know, like
Yeah.
even changing comp is still like the same thing. Do you know what I mean? You're not doing anything like super cool. It's not like you're going to beat it by like 10 seconds or 5 seconds. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's going to be like peeling off a couple seconds, and it's like, is that
Yeah.
worth it?
I guess it's more about like optimizing your comps on wing 1 or like the old wings.
Yeah.
Just because strat wise there's not much new stuff to do. And we're going to see like some runs where actually, especially like the SC Qadim, I think is one that we can look forward to, because that one really did use a completely new strat. So I'm very much looking forward to that. All right, so I'm just going to the end of the video, and then the next one will be completely random, right? Let's see what boss we get next. Unless there are, guys, if you have questions in the chat or something, if you want like something to be specified. Oh, it's Dhuum next.
oh,
If you want something to be specified, leave it in the chat, right? So we can answer questions and talk about stuff as well, right? So, Deaxxon, this was a meta weekly kill. So you guys just break records on a daily basis now?
Did they post weekly? Oh my god. They shouldn't have done that. We clearly grinded a little bit.
Okay. All right. That makes me. It's good to hear that. I was questioning our weekly clears at this point. All right. So tell me what should we look forward to on this run? What are some things to look out for?
It's a relatively standard Dhuum. Other than, I mean, it's quite different than Pugs, of course, where we do Throne Tank, and we have the Chronos do both greens, right? So we have a DPS tank, actually. I think it's pretty standard in the hardcore community to have, like, a warrior tank.
Yeah.
But we just thought, theoretically, maybe it'd be better for DPS to not get the mechanics. And, I mean, it worked okay. Warriors are probably better, at least in this patch now, for sustain.
That's actually a pretty cool idea, to have a DPS do it instead of a warrior, so he wouldn't get mechanics.
Yeah, that's really all it is, right? So you won't get bombs, you won't get shackles, and theoretically you could just do a golem rotation.
I like that idea. I like that. So what I don't like personally, I get to play Druid way more than I want to, and Dhuum is probably one of my least favorite bosses as Druid, just because you have to like run around and do so many things all the time. But for DPS players, it's really kind of a golem situation, right?
It's an elaborate golem, isn't it? I think Druid's the only one, like, especially like at the beginning on Druid, where like you've got to stealth, you're kiting, you've got to stealth the Reaper, and then you have to go and get a green or something.
Yeah,
it's like a lot of shit to do at once. Like, whereas realistically as DPS and something like this, like, it's just a golem.
Yeah, like he's just like the warrior is just doing golem rotation here, right? But like the Druid, he has to stealth. Like, can we actually see it if I go back in the video? To explain this for somebody who's completely new to this strat, right? You see the Enforcer coming up, and usually you'd have your groups stack over here, so you can like cleave the Enforcer on Dhuum. But what Speedclear groups do is they stealth this Reaper, so that the Enforcer will then aggro on this guy instead. And that way he'll walk through Dhuum and also die in the cleave. So you don't have to move Dhuum to the side, and you can immediately start DPSing him.
It's just really hard on the Druid.
Yeah, because like the Druid has to take a green, he has to stack Might too, right? Which is something that a lot of Druids who do this forget. You still have to like provide Might. Maybe this is an interesting detail as well.
Yeah, I think what just happened there is like the thing that kills most speedclear groups, or the thing that like screws most runs, is like the dip there, where people aren't paying attention and they don't move into the throne. Like, just getting that drop there is like, if you don't get it right there on the throne, it gets like pretty saucy later on.
We want to...
But to be honest, after that first dip, it's pretty standard Dhuum, right?
Yeah.
It's just the beginning part for Druid and that dip. Other than that, it's not too much harder than normal.
That's actually true. Most of this run actually really happens in the first minute or so.
Doing the pre-event, yeah.
Then it's just a DPS check.
Can you rewind to Alan's skill clicking because he was eating? Can I throw out a quick thumbs up to like the editing of this video?
Yeah, it's
very
perfect.
good job. All right, let's just keep watching for now. How long did it take you guys to do this run? Was it like
really not long?
a
It
couple
was
hours
kind of
or-
a weekly clear, right? We just we we didn't go out that day just going for a Dhuum, but
You're
with
like
the pre-event, it takes a while, I suppose. Dhuum is kind of our bitch.
You're what?
He's our bitch. I don't know why people like maybe just don't compete for Dhuum kills, but I don't know. I didn't see any other good kills.
Yeah, the pre-event is what.
Last patch.
I enjoy that you guys cut out the pre-event because that part is just so boring.
Although the pre-event does become a little bit more interesting with Solo Druid as well. You have like your Kala Renegades doing Soul Cleaver Summit rotation. It's not that hard though, of course.
Yeah. But look at the DPS. Just look at the boss melting. We just barely came out of the second. Like he just does the second smash attack, and he's at 15% right now, 13%. It's actually pretty intense. I guess that's
that boss movement.
Deaxxon, I think this run is why they nerfed Renegade. So thank you guys for that. Okay.
You think so?
Yeah.
What? I'm sad they nerfed Renegade.
I'm actually sad too, but it's still good. Again, the editing just perfect.
I don't know. I think a lot of people don't bother with Dhuum because there's like a lot of downtime in the Dhuum thing. Like you have the pre-event like every single time you wipe, and it's not like it's like a 15-second thing. Do you know what I mean? It's long.
Yeah,
it's
it definitely drains you.
Really boring.
If you don't kill this boss in the first couple pulls, morale gets low.
Yeah.
And this as well. The hitbox on this. My days.
Why did Dremel not get invited? He could represent SC and QT. If we do a Freckle episode, Dremel, if we do a Freckle episode, you're the first one I'll ask. Promise. And it actually jumped to Qadim next. But should we take a minute and talk about Dhuum a little bit more? Because I don't want to just like skip over the video so quickly.
I personally don't have that much to say. It's really just the two things of having like, all your supports be able to do greens, like having a warrior or DPS tank.
It's really kind of a straightforward kill, right? This. All right then.
It's a good fight though. This like I think it's like as I said, like Wing 1's super linear, but like Dhuum has got a lot of opportunities to like do different stuff with. You know, like I think people are still going to find like new things to do with this. I don't think.
Yeah, and in
we're
like
going to be stuck with this tactic.
In the history of Dhuum kills, there have been some pretty cool strats, right? Starting with like the bubble spellbreaker strat. That placed a bubble in the middle of the arena so that Dhuum wouldn't get any boons to begin with, right? Yeah. And then like eventually like progressing into like, well, we stack renegades anyway, so we can just insta-strip them. And
well, there was a Necro one as well, right? With,
yeah, the bouncing one.
Oh yeah, oh boy.
That was cool.
I'm just glad that I'm personally glad that epi bounce records aren't as predominant anymore. That was a meta I did not enjoy. Well, yeah, okay, let's move on to the next kill then, which is SC's Qadim, and I feel like we're blowing the powder early on this one, because this is probably the most exciting one on the list, and
definitely the most innovative.
Absolutely, yeah. And Deaxxon, you guys actually did a Qadim right before this, right? And,
yeah.
And I remember people talking like, oh no, meta are gonna be so bad. It's
No, we have nothing but admiration for this kill. It's very impressive, right?
Yeah,
this kill.
Nothing we did was like spectacularly new. We just kind of made our lamps really quickly, but like, they had our lamps times matched, and then their burn phases are way better than ours because of the spell breakers.
Yeah, and it's such a cool strat, and if I could get the video to work, I would love to show you guys.
But because this was the only real thing like we could do, like when we thought about doing Qadim, it was like shit, like the obvious like only thing you can do to like make this ridiculously quick is just not do pyres at all.
Yeah,
like this is the best way. This is the only way to like beat this without like grinding your comp. Do you know what I mean? Because like Daredevil like is retardedly strong. Like why would you play something else? So like you really like had to skip it. So we came up with like some super weird ideas with like kill Renegade.
I think I just cut the site. I think I just ripped the playlist. Oh no!
I still have it, I believe.
But I don't. I refreshed the site because the video froze, and now I'm in an empty room. Did one of you guys get the?
I think I'm leader. I can kick and ban people.
Can you invite me? Can you? You're now the controlling force of the video, which is actually good because you can now pause the video whenever you think something interesting happens.
How do I invite you?
There should be there's an invite button.
An invite button, or maybe just a link.
Oh shit! Yeah, okay.
Something that I actually found really cool was that there is a fair amount of min-max in there as well, right? Most people obviously focus on the bubble strat, but what I really like, and this is why I actually put the Renegade POV in there, is I like that you guys actually put in the Renegade just to enable the thieves even more, right? Like pre-stack condis on the boss, stuff like this.
Yeah.
Also we got the Alacrity.
Yeah, we got extra condis from it. We also needed Alacrity because, most of our boons were coming from Sally, who was playing, some weird, hybrid thing, diviner thing. So, we had, all the quickness in the world from, the pyres and stuff. But, Alacrity was, pretty dodgy.
Yeah.
And, even with Stein, do you know what I mean? It wasn't fantastic. But, we had it when we needed it, which is the most important thing. And, bubbles were, just up every phase till I do it. If you were any faster with this strat, you wouldn't be able to do it because your bubbles just wouldn't be.
Oh, I could actually still pause the video. Okay, I'm back in the room now. I'm back in the mix.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun kill to work out what we were gonna do.
Can we restart? Can we start it from the topic? Why won't the full screen not work on this one? This is super awkward.
Mine does.
This video just gives me trouble. There we go. Technical difficulties encountered. Dreading this moment. But I guess every new thing has its problems, right? This is the first time we do this.
It's because I'm boss. Wait, what's your name? You're Brave Guacamole.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one I am. I think I am the mountainous German Shepherd. Dude, what is this side? What is this side? Dislike it. Oh, actually, I should. What I can do is I can share it with you guys in chat, which is something I should do much more. I should always post all of these runs in chat. Go give all of these videos some upvotes, guys. They deserve it, honestly. Give them the views, give them the clicks. Matty sellout, yeah. Still won't work for me. Can I change to it? No, I can't. I have no controller. Can you change it to a different video real quick? To a different run?
I'm not. I gave it to you.
But I'm not here. Oh god, people are actually invading us, I think. I think people found the link and now invade the room. That's awkward.
Whatever. Let's watch it through YouTube.
Alright, let's just watch it on YouTube then. Right, so I'm just gonna start it on YouTube then. So yeah, pre-stacking buffs as you would in most runs, I guess. And Harry, walk us through it. What is the special thing about this run? What are the details to keep an eye on?
You can see what Nico just did there when he put down the portal there on the pyre. That's it's really important for this run. As I said, one of the main things, because we're only running single chrono, one of the main things was how do we actually get boons for everybody, all the time. So we have Sally is playing some kind of boon chrono, boon thief thing, mostly Zerg, but some diviner stuff. And so he did lamp, and then during main phase he takes that portal that Nico pre-places. So he'd take the portal out to the pyre, steal, and then take the portal back and use detonate plasma, and then we all have boons.
Video scuffed. Okay, there we go. So yeah, keep an eye over here. Right here, the portal is placed out. And I think you can see this later on the minimap. It actually looks pretty funny. It's like you have a blue dot popping up for just a second to steal and then come back. Now keep an eye on the minimap. I think it's should be about now. Or not. Oh, there we go. And there we go. See, there's the little blue dot stealing and coming back in. Of course, the big game changer, though, was your use of the Spellbreaker bubble, right?
Yeah, so... I mean, it's nothing new. Like, people had, like, tried it before, but... I don't think it was doable when people tried with 2 bubbles before, just because power creep wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
But now people, like, are really comfortable with Wing 6. Like, we know, like, the highest DPS classes to play. So, like, it's much more doable. Like, the first
the
few times
comp is just min-maxed, right? You're only running 2 Spellbreakers, 1 Chrono. And you have, like, a 20-second phase, right?
I think the 1 Chrono is what really did it. It's like, because I remember us testing this as well in release week with 2 Spellbreakers, and I remember you guys did a 3 Spellbreaker kill back then, just because DPS wasn't quite there to pull off 2 yet, right? And I remember us trying 2, and kind of struggling with it. And I think what really made the difference here is that you changed to 1 Chrono, Boon Thief, and the Renegade, that gave you this little edge in DPS.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I would like to commend the entire balance patch for. Is I thought it was like a really healthy support meta.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. I really enjoy, like...
became really abundant Diviner Renegade, or whatever Renegades.
We're gonna see a lot more Electricity Renegade kills, right? Even, like, with DPS Renegades that just provide a little bit of Electricity.
Yeah, it's
just, like...
playable, this patch.
And just such good bursts. Actually, one of the bigger difficulties of this, I found when we did this, was just like individual player-wise, that you keep having all these fireballs, right? Because a lot of people forget that if you don't kill the Pious, you keep getting these fireballs, right?
Yeah, that was
how many deaths do you
experiment of trying to explain to people that the balls always land in the same place, so you always know where not to stand. But that took some getting used to, yeah.
How many deaths did you have? How many fireball-related deaths did you have?
Probably like roughly 6 hours worth.
Nice.
The entire first day.
My favorite part of the entire run is actually about to happen, Harry. I'm not sure if you can't see it with me, right? But if you guys look really closely at this guy, the warrior here, right? The target guy. Keep a close eye on him for a second. There we go.
Yeah. I don't know what the problem is. This was so I could downstate CC the women.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
Very smart, mechanical genius.
Yeah.
Wait, did you guys do the thing where you kill Matriarch before Patriarch?
Yeah, and then
okay,
we portaled Chrono from Wyvern to the lamp to break the lamp and get the lamp to them back.
Yeah, let's actually look at that again real quick, how you guys deal with Wyverns, because that's probably... which split would you say is the hardest? Is this harder, or would you say Destroyer?
I mean, only the lamp would be the main factor, right?
Yeah, it's lamp. It's all about lamp. And like the CC as well on Patriarch as well. Like if you're not paying attention when CC comes up and then he destroys the platform and then it's game over.
Do you know who's kiting the Patriarch right now? Is it
I'm trying to, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's the warrior,
yeah. Yeah, we found the way you could solo the break, or you can actually get Qadim to come back and cancel the break bar quickly enough.
Yeah, that's what happened this time. Yeah.
So if we take a quick look, there we go. He goes into CC and then Zamora spawns.
Cancels the break bar,
and cancels the break bar.
I actually looked at the log and we have the same exact Wyvern phase times.
That's actually so clutch here. Like, Zamoros is kind of saving the run right there, isn't he? Like,
no, it was tactical, I told you.
Given that you just went down saying, that was a very clutch moment there, dude. I didn't even realize that watching for the first time.
I don't know what the problem is. This is all part of the highly tuned tactics for this to work.
Every downstate is accounted for in these runs, guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that's
I mean,
also the thing with these kind of strats is like, they're so hard to pull off that even a run where you like have a down state or like even in record runs you have clutch moments. It's not just a game of chess, right? It's things still happen.
Yeah, and this was just like Lamp. So many times we GG just because Lamp isn't fast enough. You have like a real like time limit on Lamp of like how fast it has to be. Otherwise, like if like the creature teleports or like Hydra or whatever teleports and stuff like that, like it's just game over.
Do we have a Lamp POV by the way that we could see? No POVs linked in the video description.
Who did Lamp? Misha and Sally.
That might be really interesting to watch, given how important that is for the strat.
I think Sally's got a POV.
Wyvern could have been faster, but a certain thief stole the bomb over plasma. Feels bad, man. Oh, there we go. Stan already linked it. I hope this isn't a Rick and roll kind of situation. No, there we go. And this is also the boon thief, right? So this is actually really interesting. Sally had a lot of jobs to do here.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of like min-maxing his gear as well to like work out like what we can get away with, like because we needed damage like really badly for like main phase. Like it was really close.
There we go, just smoothly running through. Just short bow auto attacks all the way. And of course the bombs, right?
Yeah, this took time to like work out like what they needed to bomb and stuff like that, or like sometimes the mobs are too spread out and they don't get all bombed, and then
Let's actually zoom back for a second. The most annoying ones really here are these Devourers, because if they run, like they have this weird pattern where they just like run all the way to the edge of the arena and start range attacking you, and if you don't pull them fast enough, if you don't pull them together at all, it just becomes so awkward.
I'm assuming all your thieves are running improv and stuff too. Magnum bombs are incredibly important for clearing the lamp quickly.
Yeah, everyone's on improv. We tried a bit with Executioner, but we needed the damage early on. Like I don't know, Nico will flame me now, but like, I don't know, we tried a lot to like one phase Qadim at the end, which is why like we tried taking Executioner, but then if we had Executioner, we didn't have enough damage for main phase, so yeah.
Oh, a bit of we're targeting. There we go, yeah. So we actually saw the quick jump to the elemental here to grab the boons. Where is it? There we go. Just does his burst, takes the portal, grabs some boons, comes back, and back to DPSing. How much boon duration was he actually running?
Yep.
I can't imagine you have to run that many. That mine.
No, it wasn't running that much in the end. I've got no idea. Is Sally in chat? Who knows?
Oh, okay. Okay, so now second lamb. Can we watch an interesting boss? We'll get back to Wing 1 DPS, but let's watch Mursaat Overseer next. The most interesting POV of them all. Like, I actually looked through all the POVs and just wanted to find one that at least moves their camera, because like, it just looked so static. Alright, there we go. Most interesting.
Last lamp.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna skip through. Okay, and already preparing the portal there, so that once they come out of Lamb, right, you get them back to the Wyvern immediately.
Yeah.
Nice video loading screens, dude. If anybody has recommendations in chat for sites that are really good for watching videos together, I'm all ears. Okay? Alright, now it's just completely stopped. Awesome.
Well, you're just on YouTube now too, so it seems to be your connection.
Yeah. Roll is having a cameo there.
Oh, this is the one that rolled banner. Rolled Dissy banner down to the lamp.
He did.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh, it's the sick extra stats, probably.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't intended to be good.
We hear music again. Ah, there we go. Finally, it's running. It's
wasn't
running.
literally the strat. What?
I can't imagine banner was the make or break for the lamp.
It definitely wasn't. Ignore him.
And there we see the first pull. And this is where most pugs or even like better runs struggle with, I guess, is the giants. So annoying.
The
with all
pug
this
strat is to send all the DPS and like maybe even a healer.
Exactly, just because of these two guys.
Just use of lines and
Yeah.
Aegis. And I know like clearly you guys didn't do that, but we tried like dropping a time warp to slow them down.
Yeah. I think they just use stuff for blind.
Yeah. That's the main thing.
He took it because of you guys were discussing the crit RNG on vaults. Makes sense, I guess. Like if you crit, that can actually like having an unlucky non-crit down there might cost you some time.
Ah, this isn't the actual record. Oh yeah, that's right.
No?
No.
So he just uploaded a different POV.
Yeah.
Was he
Well,
not happy
social.
with his POV, or did it get corrupted?
Can't remember. We should have watched Rules POV, to be honest, though. Have you seen Rules POV for Qadim?
I'm not sure I have.
It's like a little case of bad targeting in the last 5% and he weakening charges off the platform into oblivion.
Nice. Yeah, link that to me so we can have a quick look at that one. But see, this is another point where you really shave off some time with the bubble strat, right? Because you don't actually have to portal to the
Like a solid 10 seconds, they save a massive amount of time on this.
Yeah,
And I
so-
love the portal placement is different than what you would normally see.
So just this already saves you so much time with the bubble strat. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then of course
Yeah,
now you're probably just you're on a timer, right? If you can't kill it now within the 2 bubbles that you have, you're basically just gonna die,
and
right?
it's more the teleport anyway. It's like, I don't know, from what me and Muji looked at, it looks like it's 24 seconds from the time that the first person goes on the last platform.
Really? Interesting.
And obviously it takes you like 3 seconds or something to get across the platform in the first. So, yeah. Your final phase has to be faster than all the other phases, and you can't flank, and you have no squad. So, yeah.
And I mean, this is a perfect example too of an unbeatable world record that was accomplished this patch, right? Because they changed Spellbreaker Bubble now.
Yeah.
It lasts half amount of time. You can't use any skills during it
Exactly. This will pretty much be unbeatable now for a while.
until something miraculous happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's what's exciting for me, right? Is that like eventually we will see something again that will mess it up and that will break this record. For fuck's sake, YouTube. I mean, give me a break here. What's going on? I hear the music, but it just won't move.
Oof. Already be. Yeah, this is the timestamp.
Yeah, but like then the video just has like this weird load up thing, where it's just like I hear the sound, but the video just won't play yet. I see we are having a lot of technical issues with this format. Honestly, I gotta
We could
figure
just move
something out
on
about this.
to the next boss.
I want to see Roll jump off the platform though. This is what I came for, man.
I think everyone does.
Can't take this away from me, dude. Wait, if I maybe if I change the quality. Oh, there we go. If I change it to 480p, it works. Amazing.
Oh, amazing quality. This is how I play the game. So
This is how all of my POVs look, by the way. It's like... Nice. A glorious end to a glorious record. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. This was probably my favorite record this entire season. Really well done. Very nice.
Season? Is that what we're calling them now?
It's my patch period. What do you want to call them? What is the best
Your
word
patch
for them?
period.
Yeah, your patch period. I don't have POVs because all of my... Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at my Matthias POV, you see what happens if I try to upload a run that recorded badly. Yeah. My files actually do get corrupted a lot. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm not doing it as an excuse. Like, I have no problem admitting whenever I don't upload a run because I wasn't satisfied with my gameplay. Watch us, Sabetha. I didn't even have OBS on for that because I was playing Weaver. Alright, so let's move on to the next boss, I'd say. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna quickly use the shuffle function again, right? And we're actually on to the Stronghold
Escort.
of the Faithful full run. So this is actually 3 bosses. The thing is, guys, with Wing 3, nobody actually uploaded individual bosses. But what actually we did in LN, we did a full run kind of towards the beginning of the patch. And then just nobody went and beat the times for that. Like, the KC, I think, was literally just a run that we did practicing for this. And, yeah. And Xera actually changed. Xera actually had a different comp. That's where we... But nobody really competed for Xera times, I think. Nobody actually went and tried to get a really good time on these.
I feel like Casey and Xera, like, there's just a lot of RNG that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah,
or RNG on Xera, and KC RNG, I don't know how much it actually fixed the overall runtime, but the Phantasms could be really annoying.
Yeah, it doesn't really, as soon as you kind of adjust your strategies on KC, it doesn't really matter that much anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you get a bad spawn, you basically, like, you move the tank, and then you're kind of fine. It doesn't really change that much. Might be like a second or two, but for a full run, we didn't even mind that. Alright, so I guess we're not going to watch this one together anymore. I'm just going to link this in chat, though, for you guys. And we're just going to watch through this. Do you guys have the link as well, so you can at least, like, see where we are? Alright, I assume you do, so I'll just start the video.
What?
Do you guys have the link, so you can at least watch the video as well? Or you can watch it on stream. We shouldn't have that much delay, hopefully. We watched the entire thing. You know what? We can speed it up for the intro. What I do think, actually, let's just watch it for a while, and then I'm going to speed up the rest of Escort, right? Because I actually do think the Escort strat is kind of interesting, and it's kind of fun to see such a slow event actually being sped up, and, like, with all the super speed stacking. To me, it actually felt kind of... Like, Escort was kind of fun to do, I'd say. I had more fun on Escort in this run than I had on Xera, for example.
For sure. I mean, like, most of the time when you see full clear runs, it's, like, during T-Boss tournaments, ARP and stuff, and Escort was one of the most time saves in Wing 3, and one of the most enjoyable bosses.
Yeah. And this is... I think Escort was the biggest time save.
Yeah, it's massive.
Run. Yeah.
But it's just terrible.
Dude, nothing will get your... Guys, if your team out there is struggling with KC because people greed on the 1-orb strat, right? Which is what most 1-orb KCs fail to, is people don't move out properly because they greed DPS. There's nothing to get your DPS players to stop greeding, like saying, hey, we're gonna restart on Escort every single time that we wipe on KC. Suddenly everybody's gonna play it safe. Nobody's gonna risk it. Alright, and I think at this point we can just speed it up.
What do you guys do about the wargs? Do you use like a...
No, we just...
It looks like you guys are gonna mow, right?
So basically we had... we played a lot of Tempests in here, and these Tempests ran Sandstorms. Like, we'd have...
Yeah.
The first Ellie would say, like we had assigned which Ellie takes which work, and then we just run by them. We don't focus on them. We just, like, put a sand glyph on them and run by them.
Yep. So ignoring the wargs and super speeding Glenna is the biggest time save, I guess?
Yeah. And being really ballsy on the pushes. Actually, what I think is, like, made this strat safe, listen up for the next ARP or ERP, guys, was actually sending 3 people to the turrets. Because everybody, when we started this, was like, no, we don't want to waste people on turrets. We don't want to, like, we even wanted to do 1 at first, right? And then we were like, nah, we have to do it with 2. But there was, like, a lot of RNG in there, with, like, Necros spawning minions, preventing the instant cap. And sending 3 Chronos up made it so safe and so fast. It's like 1 minute shaved off the timer just with that. It was intense. That actually made a huge difference. The music at twice the speed is very interesting as well. And I think we can just kind of go back to normal speed now. Here we see the relog. And I think this was actually the fastest Escort out there. See, this was about 4:23. This is roughly when the door opens.
Yeah, to be fair, there's a lot of competition for Escort records, so
yeah.
I understand, you know, you guys put a lot of time into this.
I'd actually say the ERP and ARP runs did pretty good on Escort. There were some pretty fast Escorts in the tournaments, but yeah, obviously it's not something that people care for enough. But it's actually Escort is out of all the events, Escort is probably the only one that I consider even slightly fun to actually speed run.
Really?
It was actually pretty fun. I gotta, like, no shit. It was way more fun than I thought it would be. I mean, after, like, 2 hours, it was kind of shit again, but, generally, like, any record becomes, like, kind of tedious after a couple of hours. But, I mean, obviously, the most tedious thing about this run was messing up something really, like, somebody dying to gliding on Xera or something, and you have to restart from Escort. That was what made this...
Isn't that just instant kick, though, to be honest?
Yeah.
It's not even worth considering.
I'm gonna attempt to, like, put the quality up again, and hopefully it won't mess everything up. So yeah, on KC, in a full run, you actually, it starts like a record would start, because you're in the room when he spawns, right? Usually you'd, like, GG on him, run back into the arena, so you're right on him when he spawns. And then it's really just about not greeting too much and pulling correctly and pulling them in quickly.
Yeah, you do really safe pulling of the illusions and stuff.
Yeah.
Like in this, like, you always make sure, like, one of them's done, like, 1 attack before they come in or whatever.
Exactly. And something that, like, actually, like, costs you time is when people go overly safe as well. So, like, you have to be safe, but at the same time you have to be, like, ballsy and really realize when you have to move in the ghost, right? Because as soon as the first spirit is inside of KC, you have to start pulling the second one in. The second one already kind of has to be moving. And then if you don't cleave the first one quick enough, they're gonna merge. But if you just keep the second one out there for so long, you know, like, you have to, like, suddenly your DPS players have to then target that guy and jump away from KC. You lose all that DPS on KC because you can't just cleave him down. So, like, getting that balance right of, like, moving out and actually moving back in at the correct time was also something that I think is challenging about this.
Mm-hmm. Your spirit management is really good. Because their AI is very clunky. It's not very fun to deal with. Yeah.
Really, once you do it long enough, and everybody just, like... I don't know, it's just a brain check, really. It's like, realize that it's so annoying when people don't move out, because it's actually not super hard. There's, like, one spot that just everybody who gets fixation just moves to. And still it fails so many times. I think it's just because of greed, usually. There's the guy running Ice Bow. The Ice Bow was actually for added cleave there. I think that was just to make it safer. Just to give more cleave on the
Ice Bow be better with 1 orb in this strat? From my understanding, I think, like, Lightning Hammer 4 will go onto the Phantasm if he's by the boss during the burn phase.
Yeah.
Which makes Ice Bow better.
It's not better for deep damage on the boss. It's not better than Arcane Blast, but I think we took it for cleave there.
Oh, Arcane Blast.
At least. Actually not 100% sure this which one would be better in DPS. Maybe the one...
Turns out I don't know Ellie very well.
This is a while ago as well, but we definitely took it for cleave there, not for boss DPS. Actually, another little detail that you could look out for is that actually I'm on Druid there, right? And I'm the tank, but I also, during the split phase, before the DPS phase, I actually run in a circle around the room, because that way everybody gets spotter, and then you start the boss phase with 10 people having spotter. It's like a little detail to look out for. And now the final phase, this is kind of where things get a little bit more interesting again. Is because in the final phase, everything is in reverse, right? In the first phases, everybody focuses on the boss, and you try to pull in the spirits to like cleave them down. But in the last phase, you actually you stack on the other side of the boss. You want the other spirit to get into him first, and everybody focuses on the spirit. So you're gonna see people like kind of move away from, and then oh god, do you remember Heli? Do you remember Leon, Harry? Did you see him go down there? Wow, how did he even ever get accepted into any guild?
Let's not talk about people going down in records, and then it's fine. I accept it.
You guys get the 20% skip, right? So if you get the boss at 20% before he goes up, he just stays there the entire time and does that attack. It can be really annoying to get the cleave and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
When that attack is going on.
So you have to DPS him fast enough, and you also have to CC him fast enough. Nothing is more annoying than like getting this and like not CCing on time and the boss going up. So this is the most clutch phase of the entire fight. You have all these AoEs to deal with. You have to kill the spirits fast enough, but still do enough damage to KC at the same time, which is at this point the druid just heals heals pretty hard, because you can see all the clusterfuck going on there.
The druid, you mean you?
Yeah.
Good job, Roca.
Yeah, humble brag.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah. I was just saying, like, there's a lot of pressure going on, so...
Oh, no, you're absolutely correct.
And yeah, that's pretty much the run. The final phase is just, like, DPS again. There's a surprising amount of tries actually failed on this, because during DPS phases, people completely ignored the spirits again. And we actually got merges during that phase, which is really awkward to get.
It's because you just expect them to explode and just like walk through and
exactly, right?
Expect to think about them, and then suddenly.
There's one last thing I want to go back for the KC, and I know people are probably itching to just like stop Wing 3 and move on to something more interesting. But that is like how we dealt with the RNG on the spirits, because you can see right there we actually get the most unfavorable phantasm spawn, like statue spawn. What do you call them? Statues. And the easiest way to deal with it really is to just move the boss and not have people. But because if you have people move in weird angles, it fucks with the AI of the statues, and they will start moving weirdly and moving together, and that's where you get a lot of wipes. But if you just move KC to stand exactly between them, now your movement is exactly the same as it always is, except it's like shifted towards the side a little bit. And now and that way you actually get almost no fucked up AI stuff on the statues. And it's really
incredibly safe.
Yeah, and it's such an easy fix really to like something that was usually a big problem for KC runs like this. Okay, I'm just going to speed up through this 2K's Twisted Castle. Pretty much just standard Twisted Castle, honestly. Nothing too interesting. Thank you for the subs, by the way. Thank you for the follows, etc. Sorry if I'm not focusing on them too much. I also turned the sounds down, right? Because I don't want it to interfere with the podcast atmosphere of this. Such a fancy podcaster now. Okay, and we see great relogs. Love that people, like, you saw this during the ERP a lot, people breaking out of the map to get fastest loading times.
Maybe that's another reason people don't do full clear record. You need an SSD and everything.
It is true. Like with the thing is, there's actually a whole category for records that don't use character swap, right? There's a whole category for that on SpeedClear. Thanks to SC wanted this and really much, because you guys have done a few runs with this.
This has nothing to do with me at all.
I think it's really cool. I actually think it, like, both, like, ways of doing a full clear. One saying you can character swap, and one saying you can't character swap. They have such different focus in their in the strategies you have to utilize, right? Which I think is really cool. So I definitely see why both of these categories should be in there. So yeah, this is probably the biggest facepalm of the entire run. Oh god, that felt so bad watching this. So Iboga pulled the orb right into the rift. Such a feels bad man moment. Actually, it didn't cost us too much time because this side that we are watching right now is like the faster side. And this is an old composition. This is not even the best anymore. Now I think chrono stacking is actually the best. I'm not sure after the balance patch, but before the balance patch, the patch record for Xera was actually taken by a chrono stacking run, just like we're going to see later on Mursaat Overseer. But this was actually during the beginning of the balance patch with Deadeyes, when Deadeyes were still much more predominant. So yeah, I guess there's not really much to look out for on Xera. It's pretty much just the standard strat, right? Keep it mid for the first 50%. Try not to move it towards the end either.
Yeah, I mean, there's other than like changing your comp and what you do, like that you can't really change the strat that much.
Yeah.
Like for Xera, like you're forced to do certain things.
And that's it with these old bosses, right? There's just not much you could... Do you remember the excitement? I remember my excitement when I first watched QT's first run doing mid-strat Xera and DPSing through the first 25% and skipping the laser. I remember that really blew my mind back then, but obviously nowadays you don't really have such great stuff happening on all bosses anymore. It's mostly just a DPS comp check.
I mean, it's kind of tight though, like with the news era now, with like staying in one spot, like people are like slow with CC. This is like a good one to test your DPS players on as well, you know?
True, yeah.
Like the slower the DPS, if DPS players don't CC, then shards come and we just start again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna speed this up because it's not all that interesting really. The music. Sped up YouTube music, nothing better. I'm just happy that nobody died to gliding, honestly. That's what made us decide to take the run. Nobody died to gliding.
Yeah, it's quite amazing to see Xera in high graphics. I never realized the platforms look like that.
Do you actually play on those settings?
Yeah.
Always. Just because you want a safe performance, or because
safe performance? God,
I used to play
that luxury.
The truth is actually I can't. If I stream, I can't play on 60 FPS. I actually play on 30 FPS a lot, and every now and then I remember to like put it back to 60 because my computer can only handle it when I'm not streaming, because Guild Wars 2 is just so well optimized.
I don't even know what 30 or 60 FPS is.
Playing on 60 FPS after you've played on 30 FPS for a while is just so refreshing. It's just like a world of a difference. Feels like you put a movie into HD. Alright, and that's all the Wing 3 bosses, I guess, right? And funny enough, on Xera now, the comp would be to stack Chronos. Maybe we should watch a Chrono strat boss next. A boss where we would see the Chrono comp being used. Or should we just randomize it again? What do you guys think?
The only Chrono boss is Mo, isn't it? That's uploaded?
Yeah, there is an MO. It's too bad that there's no Xera upload for this. Alright, you know what? Let's just get let's get the MO over with, because it's probably by far the most interesting boss on the list. Do you want me to... I'm going to link it in chat again. It's really awkward that we can't do the sync video thing anymore. You guys tell me when you have the video up, okay? We're going to have to do this manually now. We can't rely on technical help anymore, like platforms like sync video. We actually have to like communicate about this now. Can we watch the JP guides? Well, guys, fun fact, we actually had a bunch of jumping puzzle record submissions recently on speedrun.com.
Really?
Which is really fun. There was a 2-minute Troll's Revenge, which is the Lion's Arch one, uploaded. 2 minutes, which is actually fairly impressive. That's actually pretty good. I was impressed watching that. There's some fancy skips in there. Alright. Let's just turn this on. Let's go. Super interesting runs. So basically the idea behind this strat, guys, is that you stack so many Chronomancers that the boss's AI breaks now. But that you can just stack Time Warps for quickness, and you don't need a boon chrono anymore. And that way, once you have the quickness and you have the most important boons covered, then you can just run one electric.
Look at that massive amount of clones.
Yeah, it's like...
Have fun having 60 FPS.
Yeah. It's actually true. When every chrono starts the opening, you have to put your quality on lowest, your character quality. It actually crashes your game.
But yeah, that's right. Like, what's so strong about Power Chrono, or at least was last patch, is that you could just drop your support classes, right? Just take a Renegade for Alacrity, and then you take Time Warps.
That's basically what... I mean, it was a great DPS class overall, right? Even just for DPS.
Yeah, of course.
It's very bursty, so for a lot of bosses, just because of split phases, it wasn't as good. But just the ability to be able to like stack quickness with this just made it so strong. So freaking strong. So as you can see, most interesting boss POV. We're going to have to watch this one like 7 times if we want to even like fill the same time as any other boss.
Thing is, the Power Chrono stuff, it's kind of like going back to the Necro times, you know?
It's class stacking extreme, right?
You know? Like, don't get me wrong, like when the first person, whoever it was, like I can't remember, who like did the first video with like all the chronos, it was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, cool idea, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's sick. But then like, after like, oh, what's this now? Like 3 months of still having it, it's like, yep. Can we go back? Because it's like so much better than everything else, you know?
Yeah. I was just personally happy because I got to play Diviner Renegade on something that was actually a good run. Because you don't get to do that as much, yeah. And we're kind of moving there again. Like maybe after the run, after we watch the videos, we can talk a little bit about what changed in the balance patch. But I really enjoy playing Diviner Renegade recently, and that's why I actually kind of enjoy this strat.
I mean, it does pretty good damage too, right? Like you're pulling 18k in this run.
Yeah, my best run was like I mean, you can do like a little bit of min-maxing on this, I guess. It's like you can like start in one of the platforms and just like, so you get into combat and it gives you more energy and you can like precast a few more skills, just like DPS pretty hard. On this run, this was actually the worst run. This was terrible. Like, to kind of talk out of the box a little bit, we wanted to get a like decent Mursaat Overseer, but we didn't want to break our legs doing it, right? So we didn't say we're going to take the whole night. We just like do this for 1 or 2 hours. And then one of our guys left after like an hour or so, and we couldn't continue doing it. So we just took the best one we had at this point. And it was actually terrible. My rotation on Diviner Renegade was really bad. And
Can we watch
like,
your POV? Or...
No, we can't, unfortunately.
Right.
You can find it on my... Yeah, no, I did upload it. You can find it on my YouTube. But like, you can see, like, for example, I cast my F4 before the boon strip. So we, like, lost, like, a second of electricity. And later I just, like, messed up the buttons and energy management. It was so bad.
Yeah, but the F4 is pulsing, right? I don't think you actually lost much off it.
It didn't cost us too much time, but it just looked bad. It just made me sad. And, like, you actually can see towards the end of the run... Actually, I'm not sure if... I think at this point I already typed /GG. This is a different run, I think. But yeah, I was just like, for the last 5%, I was just standing there with /GG typed in chat because I didn't think we'd even take this one. Alright, when you make HC review, but only elitists join the stream. Yeah. Why, like, of course, only elitists invited. Okay, so that's that though. That's the chrono stack strat, right? You see that on a few bosses, right? Xera and Mursaat. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, the class stacking really is a bit of a problem, if you ask me as well. Alright, so which one is next? Let's roll the randomizer. Which one will it give us? Oh, CA. Nice. That's an interesting one again. So, wait, I'm gonna link it in chat for everybody. And then, Harry, I think you can walk us through this one, right? Because there's a fair amount of different stuff on this than you might know from, like, pug runs or even older.
Oh, it's very different from pug runs.
Yeah.
Very different.
Alright, I'm gonna start the video in 3, 2, 1 now.
Oh, I'm delayed. Whatever. Yeah, like, it was Nico who came up with this. Well, at least, yeah, for us anyway. Like, so the idea was that you DPS the first hand to get the swords, and then you move over onto the second platform, which makes the second hand come down, and then you can one-shot that hand with the swords that you got from the first hand. Like this, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that, I think, that there is a second hand that only comes down if you move like this, right? Mm-hmm. That if you stay on the same platform, it will get the left hand down again, but if you move to the other platform, it takes the right hand for the first time. And when a hand comes down for the first time, it always spawns the swords, right? So if you wait for the first hand to come back down a second time, you get shields, but if you go to the second hand and get that down for the first time, you get swords again. So by killing it that way, you actually have swords for the opening of your DPS phase as well, right? Which really amplifies your DPS in the DPS phase.
Yeah.
And then you also save swords from the orb phases for this hand, so you can one burn that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the end of this phase, I still have 5 swords left. So then when we go straight into the next phase, we can one-shot the next hand straight away. Because it's already on 50% anyway, right? And you've got 5 swords.
Yeah. I think that's the big difference, right? Like, usually a pug run would start and you wouldn't have swords until the first person collected all 10 swords.
They'll collect all 15 and before they use any swords.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did like 5. I took 5, Nico took 5, and I took 5 again.
Let's actually, you know what, I'm just going to repeat this again real quick, the orb phase, because we can see how you guys distribute who catches the swords, right? Which is obviously important because you start with 5 swords, but you can get up to 10, right? So you want the first person who collected 5 swords to immediately use it on the boss so you can get up to 10 stacks. So what we can see is we can actually see that we have one person here collect the first 5 swords, and after that Nico takes over for the second 5 swords. And then he reapplies this immediately now. And the next person from SC comes around to take over for him and take the next swords while Nico casts his swords, right?
Yeah. You can also kind of solo cap, right? You didn't have to do back and forth and forth. You could have just had somebody use swords while collecting and then keep collecting. But
yeah,
that's
for sure.
Obviously.
Yeah. And then, so like, because you've got some left over, you can one-shot this hand and then you go straight back into Orb Collection again.
Yeah, so that just speeds it up so much. That's such a cool strat. It's one of these strats that when I watched it, I thought, why has nobody come up with this before? Why has nobody noticed this before? It seems so obvious now.
This was the most stupid phase because we'd actually kill him too quickly. So
not getting
now I think I only get 2 swords. Or 3. I get 3 swords before it phases.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Literally, like, when we first started doing it, I wouldn't get any. And Nico would only get 4 from the previous one instead of 5. So, like, trying to tell people in a record not to do as much damage as they can do is, like, slightly weird. You know?
I imagine that worked really well.
Yeah, sure. Great. But, like, yeah, the swords are such, like, an exponential increase in damage that it's just always worth it.
Yeah. And then finally, at the last piece, like
you focus both arms, because it does a flat 10% of the boss's health.
Yeah. So for the last phase, I've still got 5 swords. Nico's still got 5 swords, so we can use swords on each of the arms and one-shot each of them. And then the boss is on like 2% or something.
Exactly. So basically, you just focus on the arms, and
Yeah.
Because the boss has 25% HP at the beginning of this phase, right?
Sure.
And each arm does 10% damage, and the other 5% just happen during cleave, right? Of killing the arms.
Yeah.
So that's why we basically just see them focus the arms and, just like DPS the rest of the boss on the side. And that's the kill, and I think that was one of the more interesting ones as well. Like, and that's with new bosses, right? New bosses still have. That's why new bosses are always so interesting, because they have like this room for new strats, cool new interesting stuff happening.
Yeah, I mean, Conjured Amalgamate was one that I was most looking forward to seeing what strats would come out when Wing 6 released. And I mean, clearly, like, this is probably as fast as you can push it. But it's not a strategy that I would want to see in Pugs. I don't think they could do it.
It requires a bit... It mostly requires, like, you to set up who has to do what at the beginning, right? Everybody, like, you have to know who collects swords at what point, right? Which I guess is...
It's what Pugs do the very worst, right? They just need to know to use swords more quickly.
Yeah. I actually think, like, starting with on one arm, if you know that your group has a certain DPS, I guess, I don't think it's, like, incredibly hard to, like, one-shot the second arm once you have swords. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be, like, speed clear level DPS to do that. You just have to have decent DPS.
I mean, it was close, though. Like, if we had... Yeah, I mean, if we had 4 swords, it didn't fail. We had to have 5. But, like, it's pretty close. But, like, I think, I didn't think it's a super difficult strat to do.
Yeah.
To, like, recreate.
And it's actually, like, if you don't have enough DPS, then it's just gonna cost you time, right? Yeah. I guess you have to really judge your... Like, this is one of these strats that has found its way into our weekly clears, you know? It's one of these strats that just, like, completely changed the way you do this on a weekly basis. Because it's, like, it's not super RNG dependent or anything, right? It's just, like, something you do differently, and it works really well every time.
It's just execution and, like, 100% better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about CA. Well, the two good things about CA Record is no pre-event, which is unbelievably good. No bullshit clearing before the boss, nothing. You just, like, walk in and it's ready. And there's, like, hardly any orange. Like, if any, at all.
Yeah.
Kind of the orb spawns on the burn phases, but it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, but it doesn't change a huge amount.
Nope, that boss is just sword management and mega DPS.
Yeah.
Yeah. And holding back.
It's probably my favorite boss to actually, like, do quickly.
Yeah, and I actually thought so when the boss came out back then. I thought like, see, everybody was like kind of criticizing CA, and I thought, well, it's one of these DPS bosses, so I think it will actually be kind of fun to speed clear. But then nothing happened for like months on end, and I
other than Mirage,
and I actually thought I was completely wrong. Oh, there is the Mirage kill, right?
Yeah.
The old unrestricted one that hard abused confusion. That was something. That one is actually still, I think, like 10 seconds faster than this one, right? Just from the confusion abuse. Obviously, that was a bug unrestricted run. All right. Anything else you have to say about this run?
No.
All right, then move on. Let's move on to the next boss. You know what? The next time we do this, I'm just going to like put on a randomizer and not even just like.
Dude, you've got a spinning wheel of bosses.
Oh boy! Oh my god! I could do that now. I could actually do that now. Oh my god! Oh boy! All right, guys, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. This is good. This is great. All right, guys. So this is something that we actually wanted to save for the future. You guys, it's not finished yet. It's not finished yet. But we do have something that we could use for this. You guys remember the viability competition by SC, right? That we talked about on this stream. Since that is going to be a thing again in the future, we've actually made that better for the next time. And well, here's what we got, guys. Here's what we got. We actually have a wheel to randomly draw bosses with, but it's not finished yet, so I have to. I think
Does it work?
Yeah. It's just a little bit clunky, I guess. So yeah, let's just spin the wheel. and see what boss comes up. Vale
Just
Guardian.
randomly has the Snow Crow's icon in the middle.
Yeah. Well, it's intended for the Snow Crow's viability competition, right?
It's just gonna keep pissing out bosses that you've already watched now.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
watch
it's Slothosaur next, which
Oh,
unfortunately
so-
we don't have a run for.
We don't have video.
We could watch, like, we uploaded a Slothosaur video yesterday where we, like, tested a new comp, which technically uses, I guess, the similar shroom pattern at least. But, yeah, I don't know. It's not the old patch, so I think it's kind of weird. We can watch that later, maybe. Alright, let's roll again.
Boss rule.
Let's watch the old one. That was a good one. Oh, CA. Ah, sorry, we just did that. I think that's on Matthias. Okay, that's Matthias. So we watch Matthias next. And that one's an interesting one again, because that is an interesting one.
Yeah.
As in, this is an all-time record, which is the first thing that makes it interesting. But also, this is a completely new. Strat has actually been used, a completely new comp of boon support meta that we haven't seen in previous metas ever, right? And the first time I saw this was actually on Metalogs. I remember actually, I think I talked to you, Harry, right? About like the state of bosses and games, and like you sent me a log then. Hey, have you guys checked out this Boon Thief thing that Meta did? And I checked the log, and it was actually a really good run that you guys did back then, using Boon Thief over Chronomancers, and just like completely.
Again, it's just what I loved so much about this patch. It's just the variety of support classes that you could bring on different.
Exactly, right? And what I mean, I've been a bit of a Renegade fan recently, right? And this allowed me to. I really love how you can actually play a full DPS Renegade and just change one trait and actually be really good for Alacrity. So everybody who doesn't know, this comp uses a Boon Thief, and Boon Thief has a steal skill that will steal an ability that will apply all the boons except Alacrity to your team. So you still need something to cover Alacrity if you do this. And we do this with 2 full DPS Renegades who just change one trait, and then you just kind of communicate on when you use it. And it gives you...
pretty much off cooldown.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of like... If you watch our Renegade POVs, you can actually see that I use it right at the beginning of the fight instead of Unyielding Anguish. Whereas the other... Renegade saves it a bit, and he uses it for the first time where he would otherwise use Ice Razors on color. Just so we like don't override each other and like kind of make up for the delay in between. But it actually works pretty reliably, because especially later down the run, it's not as choreographed anymore, right? And things overlap, and it still works out fine. So yeah, Meta, you guys did this for the first time, but you then used a heal.
I'm not sure if we did it for the first time, you know. NA's just a big brain, and we kind of knew about Boon Thief and everything.
Yeah.
It was
and A is the
EUDP,
trendsetter for the records, really.
Is it EUDP who did the first? They
No.
posted this on Reddit, didn't they?
I guess they made it the most public.
I think DP
But there was already the better kill out there.
Yeah, exactly. DP was the first one who try-harded the boss using this comp and wanted to go for a record, and they pushed for what then was, I think, already the all-time record.
Yeah, because we didn't even really mention it. There's like no healer in this run. It's just a Harrier Thief with mostly regen tech.
Exactly, yeah. But I think did they still use a druid? I think they used it.
I believe they did, yeah.
And I think the first people actually completely cut out the druid. Those
LN.
were DP on NA, right? No, yeah. No, Harry, it wasn't LN, okay? No, but an ADP, so there are 2 guilds called DP now, which is extremely confusing if you try to keep up with records. But EUDP, basically they did a run, and I think they used Heal Druid. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I might be wrong. And then basically at the same time, an ADP was also working on a Matthias speed kill, and they actually cut out the druid for a soul beast, and instead they used a Harrier Thief, and that is an extremely low healing, very risky strat. And this was actually I would say this was one of the harder kills to do because of
this isn't a fight where you want to use Ritz, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there's so many like individual little fails that lead to basically the run wiping, not dodging any attacks or something, just insta wipe, right? So basically what happened is EUDP, they made a Reddit post uploading their kill, and immediately afterwards an ADP, they uploaded their run, which was a few seconds faster, right? And then we uploaded our run, which was yet another few seconds faster, using pretty much the same strat, right? So this is, let's just watch it. This is no healer, Boon Thief plus Electricity Renegade strat on Matthias. And yeah, this was just, like, this is just such a risky strat, because, like, yeah, the Thief is Harrius, and I guess he gives regen, but he can't counter heal you if you get hit by an attack or something.
Yeah, like, he really can't screw up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, getting hit by stuff here is, like, pretty game over.
Yeah, and there are no walls that are placed on the vault attacks or something. There's nothing to, like, help you cover up your individual mistakes, really.
But it's a good comp, this. Like, even for, like, daily kills, like, you drop the Soul Beast and take a Druid.
Yeah.
And, like, it's a really nice comp to play with. It's
Absolutely.
like going back to Chaos Boons, right? Like, perma-stab, perma-resistant. Like,
Or you play this in daily
dropping
runs.
the Chronos for a Boon Thief and Diviner Renegade, and then just taking a Druid is better.
Yeah. Another slightly annoying thing, there's a really big brain Boon Thief just stole into the vault attack and got one shot. The thing is about this run is we didn't restart for every down state. It's because it just happened a lot. There's just like so much that can go wrong. And we're gonna see some pretty clutch moments in this run as well later. Like trying to find the balance of playing safe enough as a DPS player to dodge all the attacks, but at the same time deal like really good DPS. It's kind of a weird balance to find.
I'm not gonna lie though, Matthias is like my favorite fight, and I'm almost sad to see it die in 2 minutes, right?
Really? Well, yeah, and to me it was just a lot of fun because I got to play the Renegade like this.
It's incredibly impressive.
I mean, it's a great fight, but I think this is one of the worst ones to do a record on. This boss is horrible to do a record on, I think.
There's also like quite a bit of RNG involved. Like, you can have like really good RNG and have just the right people sacrificed, but it's so unreliable, right? Like, you can't restart the boss every time you have a bad sacrifice. So actually this strat isn't based on RNG. Like, the thing is, like, if certain people get the first sacrifice, that was really bad for the time and almost always led to the run being too slow. But if, like, a Mirage got sacrificed, or like, in this case, for example, a Mirage gets sacrificed, and DPS-wise, that's really bad, because Mirage loses all their clones, and you can see how hard he dropped in DPS just from this sacrifice on the DPS meter here, right? So it's actually it would have been much more favorable if, for example, a Renegade had gotten sacrificed. And then, or like the Soul Beast.
Did you guys ever try like using Smokescreen for the shards, his vault?
Yeah, I think so. I think on this run, Noel just kind of had a lot of other things to do. Like, there could have been like there are a bunch of details that could have been better. There could have been more smoke field spam generally for DPS
I was
as
gonna
well, right?
bring up Black Powder.
Black powders, exactly, but it really didn't make that much of a noticeable difference. And you can see in this run, if we actually watched Noel's POV, he had quite a few
Yeah, the cast time, of course, nightmare.
things.
It is annoying.
There's actually one really bad thing that happened on this run that would usually rule this one out for a record. That's why we were actually kind of surprised that this one ended up having the time that it did. And that's that Noel actually stole into the invulnerability on Matthias. And if you do that, you don't actually steal the skill. You actually don't steal the boon thing. So he just completely wasted his steal into into an invuln, and it like. And our boons. What happens is, now look at the boons. If you look closely, right after this thing, our resistance actually runs out, and that's like the worst thing that can happen, because now like you get affected by chill and all that stuff again. It's just really bad. So that was actually pretty terrible. Noel almost didn't upload this POV because of that, but he still did. Since you should go check it out if you guys say
his overlay for Matthias. Do not steal into the N1 phase or jump attack.
Okay, let's just finish the video. There's actually it gets a little bit clutch towards the end. You can see like it's kind of hard when like all these mechanics are happening and then you get all the spread abilities, and you can see how hard it is for like the Mirage to just kind of keep track of where he has to move. So yeah. Right, really nice run though. I'm very happy with that kill. Even though we had 1 or 2 down states that really weren't that necessary, but it's a cool run. It was a nice run. Yeah, props to every guild who did this strat. Every guild who had a part in this, right? And ADP, meta, you guys did awesome. Nice kills. Alright, so anything else you guys you have to add about this run? Anything else you want to mention?
No.
In that case, let's spin the wheel of rates. Did I link this one in chat? I think I did, right? Ah, Samurog. Samurog unfortunately also didn't have a POV, which is really, really feels bad, man.
There's probably not that much to see on the Samurog either, right?
Yeah, well, I always find it kind of sad when like certain bosses get zero attention during a balance patch and just nobody goes for a good kill. This was, I think, just a better daily run that took this one.
But it's like there's not that much you can
you
can really do here.
And I actually find Samurog runs kind of interesting because like you have to like usually when you have a fight, right, you just min-max for DPS, right? But on Samurog you have to min-max for CC and DPS. I actually think that makes group compositions more interesting. But now I think Daredevil just kind of stomped that whole idea because Daredevil brings so much CC and DPS at the same time that it's basically like you just stack it, and that kind of, I guess, killed the class competition on that one. Alright, so let's just swing the wheel again, unfortunately. Guys, by the way, if you want to see the logs for this, I can link you guys the Reddit post if you want, where I made a list of all the records. We can find links to all the logs as well, even for the runs where there isn't anything. And now, Raul actually brings up a very good point. Renegade, Renbrand, is that the name for it now? Renegades and yeah, Fire Brigade comp actually looks very good on those bosses. Anyway, let's swing the wheel again. Spin the wheel, not swing the wheel. Guys, Fire Brigade or Renbrand, which one wins?
Renbrand shit. Fire Brigade, you have a little... Oh, come on.
Alright, Twin Largos, guys. Twin Largos. This one was done by the guild called Crits and Dips. And I think there was some competition around Largos as well, right? Deaxxon, didn't you guys go for a...
Originally, yeah, meta, we got like a 3-minute kill, but it clearly was not pushed very hard. It's more casual. We went for the low-hanging fruit, and then they stopped.
Okay. So you guys basically just said, there's a time that we can beat rather quickly.
Kinda.
And
I know there's a few things you did to like min-max it. I mean, yeah. We beat the original world record by like 12 seconds, and then they beat us by like 11 seconds. So.
Yeah. And I think that's why new bosses are just so much more interesting all the time, right? It's because their time, like all of these records beat each other by like a significant time, right? It's not like, we managed to shave off another 1 second from Gorzevo, or like, another 30 milliseconds off of Mursaat Overseer. It's actually like meaningful difference.
Well, yeah, maybe my perspective is just biased because meta really came into fruition with speed clearing this patch, but it seemed like the hardcore scene like really woke up on the later half of this. It felt really healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably something to do with speedrun, honestly. So, thank you, Roca.
Yes. Paying off, finally. Alright, do you guys have the link? So then I'm going to start the video. for Xehanort. Obviously, crits and dips is, I think.
I'm just watching it on stream at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
Shit, I need to work something out with this. I need to figure something out how to fix this for future episodes. But yeah, of course, crits and dips. They used to be a German speaker guild as well. I think they have gone international. And I think they're pretty much known for their great Mesmer players, right? Like Xehanon is well known for all the theory craft he does on these classes.
Didn't they come up with the Axe Shatter build, or am I wrong?
I'm not sure on that. That I don't know. Somebody in chat tell us.
I think they made a Reddit post that made it at least popular. Not sure though.
Yeah, I definitely know that Xehanon uploads benchmarks for their class. I think Xehanon helps you guys out on the SC homepage quite a bit as well, right? With
with Chrono. It's Chrono. He's like extremely precise.
I've always known him for like super precise, very offensive Chrono builds as well, right? He's like kind of the advocate of going as low as you can on boon duration to squeeze out as much DPS, I think.
Yeah.
So, very nice guy, by the way. Just like on a personal note, I've been talking to him a lot more through like speedrun, etc., and he's a very nice guy. And yeah,
I'm not sure how much new stuff they did in this kill, other than just having like really big damage. I guess it's
I think that's
pay attention to the splits.
I think that's mostly it, right? This is basically a standard comp, stacking as many mirages as you can. Bringing a banner slime though, guys. Don't forget that. I'm sure Nico would have something to say about this. Then it's really just like good execution, right? Very high DPS. You can see the best Mirage rotations, I guess, in this run. But it's just pretty much a regular split. They did some really fancy stuff on Sabetha when they did that record. Which did later get beaten, but they actually experimented quite a bit on that one. But this one's really very straightforward.
It's another one of those bosses where you're like you're forced into playing the boss a certain way, you know, like Samurai.
I mean, we tried a few things, right? Obviously, they got their record, just massive DPS. But like, we tried doing like a 6-4 split for the right left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or like just in our kill, we dropped banners on the left side, so we'd have more DPS. Just like that left side has more health and does that stupid dash attack that you can't really DPS through. But it looks like they're just doing really standard stuff and just crushing it.
Yeah. How did you what did you end up doing in your kill? Did you end up using any of that, or did you just test around and?
We did do the banners on the left side. But
okay. So yeah, it's a very well executed run though, and it did ultimately.
To be clear, we didn't have the warrior on the left side. We just dropped banners for the left side of the mirages.
Yeah. Oh, did I say she? No, I said he. Did I say she? No. No way I did. Alright, so... yeah, I think there's not really much else to talk about. I think this is a very straightforward run. Yeah, and lots of DPS and great... they've done it as Mina as well, I think. Also just, like, showing off how good they are on Mirage, really. So
they're probably running Conjured Chronos as well. That really does a ton of damage on this.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to like on all of these Mirage bosses basically, right? You would run a Conjured Chrono, this Mina as well.
And the good thing about Conjured Chrono as well is like you can go defensive and you don't really lose that much.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Trailblazer against Vipers is like nothing compared to like Minstrel against Diviners. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so even on this stuff, you can be safe and still be busted.
Which is especially helpful on something like this Mina, I think, where that's where you see most defensive Conjured Chrono builds, right?
Yeah.
And on Largos, you actually see a fair amount of like druids tanking at least one side of the arena. You'd usually have a druid tank, and then on the other one you'd have the druid kite. I'm not sure how did they have the druid kite there for Knut. How do you even pronounce that name? Knut? Cannot? I don't know. I'm German. I have the second language excuse.
Knut, yeah.
Knut, yeah. So, All right, let's move on to the next boss then. What is it going to be? Let's spin the wheel.
I'm guessing that'll be another unbeatable record to this patch for a while, with Mirage nerfs and banner nerfs.
I think a lot of people also anticipated bigger Mirage nerfs and went for more Mirage-oriented kills.
Oh, absolutely.
To grab the ultra ammo, basically.
Really surprised it didn't get wrecked, to be honest.
Yeah, same. I'm actually slightly disappointed. Not just surprised, I'm actually disappointed. Same. Why would you nerf Renegade? Because it's too strong in Condi DPS, but Mirage is fine.
Yeah, like the thing for like the balance patch, what was it? Like, we think the Renegade is overperforming in like the Condi class, and you're like, have you seen Mirage? Yeah. Like, seriously, like, are we stacking like Renegades at loads of bosses? No, we do it at 1. Have you seen Mirage? Like, come on.
Feels bad, man. All right, the next one is Sabetha. So I'm just going to link this for you guys in the chat. And for Sabetha, we actually had a little bit of competition. There was, I think it started with a meta kill. And you guys, I think you guys stacked Daredevils?
We did stack Bloodlust. Oh.
Yeah, but that was like...
Daredevils as well.
You guys thought I was going for the Bloodlust immediately. No, we were going to get to those memes later. But the thing is, you actually did this during a weekly clear as well, right? So you didn't even go out of your way. I want to defend you guys before anybody...
At the time, I think when we uploaded, not that many people seemed like they were going for records, right? It was still kind of early. So I don't know, we just posted.
Yeah. Just like before anybody like starts screaming Bloodlust, I just wanted to like point that out. Like this was basically a weekly run, and since Sabetha has a pre-event that includes a lot of ads being killed, you can actually easily during a weekly clear swap to a Bloodlust weapon and just stack them up. Which is of course now we're probably going to talk about this in all detail once we get to Gauzeval. All right. So anyway, you guys basically started with mostly Daredevils, I believe, and then C&D came around, and they actually beat that record by how much? By like 5 seconds or something?
Yeah, 4 or 5 seconds.
And they actually did something really fun. They actually used portal strats, I think. I think they actually had a chrono go up to a platform and drop a portal so that like the warrior could later go up and just kill it really quickly and portal back or something. And it worked pretty well, but yeah, that strat did eventually get beaten here just by like basically a normal strat.
Well, was this the patch that we saw people start sending chrono on cannons?
Yes. Yeah. You know what? That is actually something I think that they started, right? Putting a chrono on cannon? No, actually, I think we did that. I think we even did it when we still played Scourges.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think we've been doing chrono cannon for a while. I'm not 100% sure.
It's a shame the portal thing didn't work out, because that was pretty cool to see for the first time.
That was genuinely fun to watch, right? That was one of these moments where you see a really old boss and you see something that nobody ever did in a proper... Like, I've seen people, like, troll around with it, but I've never seen, like, a proper speed kill of a boss using that strat. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, maybe one interesting thing is that Weavers are a big PogChamp on this boss, which is nice because you don't see that many Weavers around, other than the CA run, I guess, and Slothosaur. You don't really see that many Weavers anymore. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Special thing about this maybe is the chrono does cannons. We always skip south just the entire time. Don't want to waste time doing that cannon. Yeah, and then you have a warrior and a chrono do the other cannons, and it's really not many cannons that you have to do at this point. You have to do 3 cannons in total. And that way you just get to DPS Golem away on Sabetha. It's a little bit more challenging with Weavers, I guess, on like a personal level, on like a personal skill level, to stay alive in this run and not take unnecessary damage from the cannons.
You can kind of get locked up in your rotation.
Yeah, especially on Weaver.
Dodging is just kind of part of your rotation, so.
Yeah. And especially on Weaver, like, you're so prone to, like, just get half of your health shredded away by, like, one misstep. So yeah, this one was a fun one to just play Weaver on, really. Just because, like, you have to move a lot, you have to think quick. See, that was actually a pretty clutch cannon there. So yeah, fun boss, but ultimately not anything groundbreaking new. Basically just the same old DPS strat, more optimized and with more support classes doing cannons than DPS classes. The most clutch moment during this is probably when North spawns, just because when two opposing cannons spawn, you have that overlap in the middle, and you have less space to stand on, especially if you're like a melee-oriented DPS class, like Weaver. And of course this last phase where you just have kind of a lot of stuff going on.
Who did you guys have do East Cannon? I didn't see.
I think that was Chrono. I think that was the Chrono.
Yeah, you had Chrono go. Yeah.
And yeah, there we go. It's very, very straightforward kill, really. Not much to say about this one. Maybe like one detail that if you guys want to ever try to like push for a time on Sabetha, and a lot of bosses do this, right? On a lot of bosses, you actually prep the boss by starting him, then slash CGing, running to the platform, and then you can, on some bosses, the boss will actually spawn after you arrive there, right? So you can actually like precast meteor showers, you can precast your spirits and stuff like this. So that's what you see us do here, right? We all walk in. We prepare. The boss is still not targetable at this point, so the ally actually has lots of time to precast his Meteor Shower and still swap to Sword Dagger. That way, like, you can squeeze out some extra DPS on a lot of bosses. Yeah, especially the Meteor Shower precast, I guess, is the little thing you can do on Ellie nowadays. Deaxxon, what time is it actually for you?
It's 4 p.m.
Oh, okay. So you didn't have to like wake up that early, though.
Yeah, I woke up like.
All right. Anyone else wants to say anything about Sabetha? Let me know now. Otherwise, we can go on to the next boss and we can roll.
It's gonna be Gorsable. See if you're ready.
Well, at this point, there's only like 3 more bosses, right? We could just pick
one. That is actually
instead
true.
of rolling the massive.
No,
wheel.
let's keep rolling that wheel over and over until we eventually get the one boss that's left. All right, which ones are left? Actually, we have Gorsable left.
Cairn
is left.
Deimos. Deimos is a good one.
And Soulless
Horror. Bit of a story
Horror.
behind Deimos. Oh right, yes.
Yeah. It's those 4, I think. Okay, so which one should we go for? Which one do you guys vote? Deimos?
Deimos sounds good, yeah.
Alright, let's go
title.
with a Deimos, which was done by DP. The record holder for Deimos is DP and ADP, not a UDP. And Deaxxon, I think you guys actually did quite a few Deimos kills as well, right?
Yeah, we held the Deimos record for about 3 days or something like that. Originally, Deep did like a power chrono, and the biggest thing that they, I guess, invented or whatever, the first people I saw do it is have a off chrono hand kite and just drop a hand kite and bring an extra DPS.
Yeah.
So yeah, we stole that strat, except we noticed that DHs were just better, right? And then they went back to DHs and beat us by like half a second.
Yeah, I always love to like see how like a record evolves when multiple guilds go for it, right? Like it started with them having this idea, but like a slightly different DPS comp. Then you guys took like that strat and like improved it by changing up some stuff, and then they go back to it as well and improve it even more, right? That's what I like about like when multiple guilds. That's why competition is good, guys. That's why having multiple kills, even if there's like drama involved, even if there's often people like trash talking each other, it's good to have multiple guilds like kind of rivaling each other and improving, because you actually end up improving each other, right? You end up improving each other's runs. Alright, so let's watch. So yeah, as you said before, the first really interesting part to look out for is really the hand kiter, right? Which is being done by just the boon chrono. I'm not sure if we have a POV for that, unfortunately.
This is a big thing as well, like actually killing all the statues at the same time.
Yeah.
And incredibly quickly as well, right? Like, that's where DP actually beat us. I'm pretty sure our boss time was better, but they just obliterated those. Kind of a weird thing to lose a record on.
Yeah, but I mean, it is. This does have to do with coordination and, like... Yeah, it is a valid part of the fight, I guess, right? I think this is more than a prevent, is basically what I'm saying, right? This requires a lot of coordination and DPS, basically, to do this at the same time and so quickly. And also without completely messing up your opening burst for the boss himself, right? Because now you get the signet, and if you, like...
And it's worth noting, like, it's better to kind of hold your burst for a little bit to get the signet.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think you see a lot of people start the fight actually on Scepter. Usually the standard start for a golem rotation on this class would be on Greatsword, but here actually see him kind of delay the opening burst until he has that buff. That's why starting Scepter on Deimos is actually really good.
I wonder, are they using any Bane signatures? We messed around with that, and I'm curious if that'll be meta or something.
In the future, I think it could be.
Of course, it's still bugged.
But I don't think we saw any of that there, did we?
No.
Yeah, and also Chunk actually points out something really interesting here. There are some bosses in the game that actually become exponentially harder, almost impossible, the more DPS you have. Like you said earlier with CA, if you had too much DPS, you wouldn't be able to collect as many swords, which ultimately would reduce your kill time, right? And it's the same thing with Deimos. If you move too fast, if you have too much DPS, it messes up your signet timing. So sometimes you actually actively benefit off of having a little bit less DPS at one point, so you can benefit off of it later in the fight. This is just ridiculous RNG, though. This is like extremely... This is like the dream scenario. Having like this... You kill the boss immediately. So there are like multiple ways you could, I guess, approach this part of the fight, right? You could say... either like you hold off of damage up there, so he does his split attack once up here, which obviously costs you time. Or you just like straight up burst him to 50%, he comes down, and then he does his first split on the platform. And what happens is basically he splits up, and then you have to, like, for everybody who doesn't know the fight as well, maybe in chat, is you have the split up soul, and you have to kill a certain one of them to get the original soul back, right? And he splits, and he just spawns exactly on the boss, so DP can actually continue DPSing the boss and just cleaving the right soul here, which is just
completely ignore them, kind of, too.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's just lucky RNG that he spawned on top.
And that's incredibly fortunate. And now also that he moves onto Deimos, that's incredible. Like, that's the most frustrating part about this, I guess, is when he doesn't move at all. So they actually get to ignore him here, which is really good, and they get a lot of boss DPS out. Then, of course, the final green, you'd obviously use the sacrifice strat as well. Just send him up there, hope that he survives long enough, and get the boss to 10%. Deimos has a lot of weird RNG factors, doesn't he? Like, with the dialogue at the end as well. Actually, you can actually get multiple... You can get multiple dialogues on this guy when he hits 10%. And then it either ports you up faster or slower, and that all impacts your time in the end. It's super annoying.
Yeah, also the sacrifice RNG. It'd be better to have like a warrior or druid get that over a DPS. And then obviously signet timing is a little bit RNG as well.
Yeah, and you can actually see...
It's really, really fun to push. There's a lot to do.
And now you actually see this is actually slightly unfortunate for them, right? They don't get Signet timing because I guess their DPS was a bit, as Chunk said earlier, right? The DPS was a bit higher, therefore they didn't actually get the Signet until 2% on the boss, which is super unfortunate because it makes that last phase take so much longer. So yeah, pretty good run overall. Very good run, obviously. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a record. And this is all-time as well. This is not just a patch record. This did end up being an all-time record.
Yeah, like there was always going to be space though, right? And in Deimos to like do something weird with like hand kiting. It was like one of the biggest things. Is like if you're going to make this like really really fast, this has got to be the thing that you need to like either like get rid of or like find a better way of doing it. Because like wasting a slot and then like trying to like squeeze fucking 9k DPS out of some like horrible rev is like not a good way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was definitely, again, one of these moments where you watch an older boss have something change that's really significant and very interesting. Yeah, all right. So, next boss. Which one should we go for next, guys? Or should we talk more about Deimos? Is there more that I don't want to skip over it, right? If you guys have anything left to say, then say
Can't
it.
think of anything.
9.
Anything else we need to explain? If you guys have questions in the chat or things you want to add, right, let us know. In that case, let's go and check out the next boss.
The drama.
Which one should we go for? Gorzabal?
Isn't that the last one we have? Is it?
We also have Cairn.
Gorse and Cairn, yeah.
I think we have one
we can finish
more.
on
And
drama.
Soulless Horror. We also have Soulless Horror
All right.
that we haven't watched yet. Which one, guys? Which one?
SH is a cool kill.
SH is a cool kill. If you want to delay a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I don't have to speak to you again after this, so I can make all the drama.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's. It's just in case we hate each other after this Gorzabal. All right. We'll watch another fucking Mirage. Well, I'll have you know, this is not just a Mirage boss. This is apparently also a Scourge boss. All right. Because
Although, is it?
Yeah, well,
Scourge,
this run
it does help a lot.
Yeah.
But,
the thing is,
technically, you could just take another Mirage and it should be better.
It should be, you would think, right? But then DP comes along and they run the Scourge and they win the patch record. They actually, by I would actually say like a somewhat significant time.
4 seconds.
With basically the safest strat you can do, I would say, right? Like bringing a Scourge with Poison Cloud even, right? Is very... And I think they even had Glyph of Tides for the Nox as well, right? So this was like a very safe comp, and they still managed to get an insane time on it, right? So let's watch it. First thing that I immediately noticed is you sneaky bastards, like snuck in the banners there, right? The sneaky banner precast. Okay, like absolutely fabulous. And this is legit, by the way, guys. You can prepare arenas like this. We've actually talked about this in rule discussions for speedrun, and this is something that everybody agrees is legit. And for a short run like this, obviously, this does give you some extra stats, right? With the old banners, obviously.
Yeah, no, you can't even precast.
You did a rule discussion, yes. Yeah. And again, like the same boss preparation that we saw on other bosses, right? You have you go into the boss, you GG, you go back to the platform, you arrive there before the boss spawns, and you get to do all the preparation you want. On Desmina,
what's annoying about doing it on this boss is though, like the worms will stay invuln for a longer period of time. So if you're running a necro, it almost doesn't even matter at the beginning.
Exactly. That's basically the reason there's a poison cloud in this run, right?
Yeah.
It's just because these worms don't die for like 10 seconds into the fight or something.
They will just pick somebody and rack you.
Yeah, and they one-shot you. I've seen very tanky Chronomancers get one-shot by worm aggro. And you just can't kill them fast at the beginning.
Can't even cleave them for Furious stacks.
Yeah, feels bad, man. I would actually say, like, one thing that another really I personally I really hate Desmina runs. I really hate going for Desmina.
There's a lot of RNG on those walls too.
There's so much annoying wall RNG. Oh my god, it's so annoying. Yeah. So we see them hold it in the middle, and they use their druid to push out the tormented deads there, right? You can clearly see the glyph of tides being used in combination with a longbow.
Yeah, I can understand why they would want the tides too if they're going to be stacking on center the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they ever move? I don't think so.
Yes, they do move.
Okay.
I think they move. Yeah, see, now they move because of a big wall. And see, the first time they have to move, the boss is already at 33%. It's already at 1/3 of its health at that point, which is of course incredibly fortunate. And yeah, now they can stack there as well, which is really good.
I think people underestimate actually how horrible it is doing this. In the middle. Like, it's really not fun. Like, especially like with worms and stuff, you know.
Yeah,
it's like the opposite of CA for me. Conjured Amalgamate. It's like it's really fun just in general to do, but to speed clear, it's so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the RNG is just nuts, right? Like size, walls, whatever, man.
It's that type of RNG, right, that affects everybody. And there's some bosses where I like a certain amount of RNG, which is like just
like
tests.
Matthias, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Matthias, it just kind of tests if you're awake, right? Like, hey, you got corruption, move it away, right? And if you're fast, it doesn't really cost you too much. But on Soulless Horror, bad RNG means you have a terrible wall, and your entire team has to move the boss to the completely opposite side of the arena. And of course that like goes hand in hand with your pushing, right? Imagine the druid decides to push it to the right or to the left, right? And if you get a bad wall, you know, there could be like, you could get just the wrong wall for just like having decided to push it to this side or that side. And it's, I don't know, it's so annoying. Yeah.
I mean, we all know the theory, right? You stay in the middle and you get no big walls. Come on, like.
That was a very popular rumor a while ago. Yeah, we did see a couple of other runs before this. I think did you guys do a run with meta of Soulless Horror?
Yeah, so we did the no scourge strat, but yeah. I mean, grinding that boss is just so demoralizing.
Yeah,
and we had like 15 deaths, so it was not that fast of a kill. Like, we weren't going to upload it because just the recording was going to be disgusting.
I absolutely understand that. I can very much relate to that. And then I think we saw a C&D kill on this, and they actually used the Scourge as well, and I think they used the Scourge. Mm-hmm. Was it them who used the Scourge portal as well?
They did, I think.
I think they did, yeah. To just like kind of make up for that, and that kind of gives you an idea. Like if a serious speaker guild brings something like a portal for this run, you can just kind of, it just shows how annoying it is to go for a kill on this run. Like you bring something as dedicated as a portal or necro, that means it must have been seriously annoying to like get fucked by walls all the time. Sorry for the F-bomb. All right. And yeah, that's Desmina right there. That's Desmina in a nutshell. Wall RNG and frustration and tears. Anything you guys want to add? Anything else?
Don't try that again, probably.
Don't try this boss at home. If you guys want to try speed clearing or speed killing a boss with your static, don't start on Desmina. It's the least fun one.
Never start on Desmina.
Okay, so now what do we have left? We have Cairn left and Gorzevo. What do you say, guys? What do you say we jump into the Gorzevo?
Mm-hmm.
What? Oh boy, guys. Oh boy, the Gorzevo drama. That was some juicy stuff. I have 2 POVs for Gorzevo, guys. Why would I have 2 POVs for Gorzevo, you may ask? Clearly, there can only be one record. Well, not if you have that much drama around a single boss record as this one. It was actually pretty intense. Okay, so basically,
thankful for the spice actually, because we talked about Wing One how like there's not much to do with the speed kills.
I gotta say, from like personally, as the guy who's like put a lot of effort into trying to make speed clear a thing again, this record is probably what actually brought the most attention to it from the guilds themselves. This record started basically after this run, all the guilds started like approaching me and saying, "Hey, we want to be part of the rule discussion on speedrun," right? So basically, while this was incredible drama, this was probably the best thing to happen to like, I guess the side or the scene overall. This was actually a pretty good part. So yeah, what happened, guys? Basically, it started. I think Gorzaval, just to give a quick rundown of the season or patch period, whatever you want to call it, is I think LN was the first one to do a Gorzaval run, and I think they did a 209 kill, I think it was. And then SC beat that by like 4 seconds, and you guys, and this is the one that we see on the stream right now, you guys did a 4:55 left, which is a 2:05 kill. And then LN went back to it and beat that record, but they used a fairly unconventional strat. Okay? How did they do this? Basically, LN utilized a sigil called the Bloodlust Sigil. And what a Bloodlust Sigil does is, when you defeat an enemy, you get stat points, you get a certain amount of power, and you can get up to 25 stacks. So if you kill 25 monsters using a Bloodlust Sigil, it stacks up this stat buff up to 25 times. So you actually get like, how much is it? I think it's like 200 power or something? Or is it less?
250?
250?
With all 25 stacks?
Yeah, it's a good amount. Yeah. It's a significant amount of power that you get from it, right? And what you can do in Wing 1 has like this opening area where you have the pre-bosses of Vale Guardian. And there's like a little area on the side of that where there are mini raptors spawning. And those will respawn all the time. So what you can do is you can equip a stacking sigil. You can go to these mini raptors and you can kill them.
What you can do but shouldn't do.
Yeah, and like a lot of people obviously didn't like this, so that's why we had the drama. I'm just saying, like, this is what happened, right? So basically, after every try, and you lose these these stacks upon death, right? So basically, they use these sigils and basically pre-stack these sigils by killing these mini raptors in preparation for the fight, and then went back to Gorzaval. And yeah, killed Gorzaval basically with extra strats, extra stats, not strats, stats. And yeah, that ultimately that plus maybe like the slightly different comp actually led to a slightly faster time as well. And I mean, yeah, this stirred a lot of drama about whether stacking sigils should be allowed.
It's because of the way it was stacked, mostly, I would say. But yeah.
Yeah, well, it's I guess it kind of like...
Nobody wants to go through that AIDS every time you want to get a Gorzaval kill.
Yeah, it ended up like a debate about fundamentals, right? Where do you stop? Where do you say what kind of preparation is good? What kind of preparation is bad? Basically the debate was, if the game gives you the ability to do something, should you do it? Should you be able to do it? Right? Like... Mm-hmm. Because, like, stacking sigils is, like, technically a game mechanic, right? So, like, if the game allows you to do it, you should be able to do it.
The fastest kill.
Yeah. And then, on the other hand, of course, you have the opposing opinion, which is, well, even so, there's a limit to what's legit. There's a limit, even if not legit, to do we want this? I think this is basically what it boiled down to, at least when we had this rule discussion. It's like, this is, I think, what's the deciding factor. Even if it's like legit by means of what the game allows you to do you want this to be the standard for the future? Do you want to have to do this every time in the future? And I think this is where all the guilds basically said, no, nobody wants this. Nobody wants the standard for Gorzaval to become that you have to, after every single kill, go and stack raptors.
I don't think anybody would do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times when you do this kill and like.
I think we do it
anyway.
we wouldn't do it again either, right? Probably just because it was slightly annoying.
Yeah.
It does give you nice little breaks every now and then. But yeah, of course, it is very annoying. Unban Olaf, that's not me. It's actually Nico. Nico is the mod in this run. Complain to Nico, okay? All right. All right, let's just watch the video. We're just gonna watch both, guys. The thing is, I ultimately said I don't want to like. I understand the whole debate around this. I totally get why people would be opposed to it. I get why people would be even like offended, I guess, by this. But ultimately, at the time, it didn't really go against any rule. Like there wasn't any rule in place that said you can't do this. So this was technically legit. It just wasn't. It just nobody liked it, right? It was something that was never written down, I guess. So I'm not. When I made the Reddit post about all the records, I just didn't include it at all. I just left it out. I linked both runs, and I'll just leave it to whoever watches the run to decide what opinion they're of, right? So if you guys think that this is a legit run, like that's fair. If you guys think it's not a legit run, that's fair as well, right? And you can kind of make that decision for yourself. For reference, though, this has put into motion a huge process on speedrun.com around rules. We've had like this big rule meeting, including all of the raid guilds, all of the speed clear guilds whose runs we've seen here so far. They were all included. Everybody like voted on it, and it was decided that for future runs and future metas, this will not be allowed anymore. Pre-stacking signets for a run, sigils will not be allowed anymore, right? For bottom right face, I have boss name.
But no, actually, I wasn't offended by this at all. I thought it was awesome. I respect the meme a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I personally don't think it. I mean, this. I always have to like distance myself as like the mod of speedrun.com and like just me as a person, as a streamer, or like even as a raider. I personally didn't think it was as big a problem as it was made to be.
I mean, I'm okay with the rule against it, but it's just...
Yeah, same. Like, I absolutely understand it. I agree with it. Like, sure.
I think the reason why some of us are against it is it doesn't... It's anybody can go stack sigils. There's no skill to doing it like that. It's nothing added, no added value to, like, entertainment to watch it, no added skill to do it. It's just like...
it's not
we're
a
going
strategy,
to force
it's
ourselves
just a
every time to go do this. And
yeah, well... I mean, yeah, I absolutely get it. I think that's absolutely legit. At the same time, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that is like this. I think, like, to me, I guess what bothered me the most personally was nobody would, like, get mad over pre-casting steals with the double steal on Mursaat Overseer, so you get, like, twice the boons and completely change your team comp and save you massive time. Which is basically the same thing. That's not a skill issue, right? That's like starting the boss fight and casting a skill and then changing a trade afterwards, right? That's where I kind of found it's like a little bit, well, there's a lot of things like this, but on this one it's the most annoying one. To me, it just boils down that nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to have to do this in the future, and I totally get that. Absolutely. So I'm very much on board with the rule. I just kind of think like there wasn't any rule against it in place at the time, so why would we create mass drama, I guess? But it did lead to a good result, so I'm actually happy with how it all turned out. So,
watch it?
Yeah, let's just watch it. Let's just jump into it. This is the Snowcrow's run. And there are some other slight differences to this than just the Bloodlust sigil, actually. You guys stack mass Dragon Hunters, whereas later we're going to see LN actually use Power Chronos as well.
It's a lot like VG, right? Where the splits is where you make it most of the time.
Exactly. And that's why I think the most challenge on God of War really is speeding up the split phase.
This was the worst thing, though, with like stacking the H as a CC. Like, you can see, like, the CC is, like, perfect. Like, if it's super obvious when someone doesn't save their dragons more because you don't break and everybody dies.
Exactly.
And the bar just sits there at like 150 left or whatever, and nothing happens.
And that's where Power Chrono was. I think that's where one of the strengths for Power Chronos came from. It's like it was a little bit more convenient CC wise.
Yeah, for sure.
And then in the split phases, it was just a little bit harder, I guess.
And as you can see, like they split up 4 ways, just like on VG, you'd split up all 3 ways.
Yeah.
Just a bit faster.
And again, this is something that is, I wouldn't say it's super recent at this point, but it's not, this is like a few months ago that people started doing this. And before that...
That's not anything that Pugs would be accustomed to.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, Pugs don't even do a 2-way split. So,
Yeah.
good luck.
But yeah, and it's interesting how, like, even so long after Boss is released, there's still, like, tiny little differences that, like, come out in these speedruns. Because, like, I don't think I've seen a 4-way split until, like, a couple of months ago. And the boss is, like, 3 years old or something, 2 years old.
The thing with 4-way split, though, is, like, you can see is what going to happen to Rule. Like, if you don't do the split fast enough, you run out of boons. And the way that, like, SOR works now, it's like, when you run out of boons on this, you're, like, really fucked and you need to restart. Because, like, with it extend stuff or whatever.
I would say that's probably where we had to restart the run the most, was boons running out in split phase.
Yeah, like, the 1 second before you get back to Gorse, it drops, and then you're like, well,
yeah.
Not going to get Allegrity until CC phase comes.
Exactly, you have to, like, wait until the next initial application, because you have nothing left to be extended. So that was still the most challenging part about all of this. We actually, like, on our runs that we did, we actually experimented with a lot more offensive chrono comps early on. We, like, had some chrono builds that just did a lot more DPS, but it always, like, failed to boons.
So what was the decision for chronos? Was it also, like, the added CC? Or just DPS?
What? On what?
You guys took power chronos, but SC didn't. What was the reasoning behind that?
No, it was just DPS and CC.
Okay.
Basically. At least I think, unless I'm completely missing out on something now.
I'm pretty sure this is what we did.
Yeah, like, I like 90%
you
of
guys
that
just went, you guys went big EP needs, precasted the traps, and obviously you guys are stealthing in.
Well, yeah, that's actually another thing. The trap precast that saved off, like, just because of instant vol on the
it's like
spirits.
a second, I guess. Right?
Yeah, it just saves up like 1 or 2 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
What is the rule on those
second,
traps now?
probably.
Are those technically still allowed? Precast traps.
Yeah. You can. Like, I think we said, like,
That's what I
pretty
thought.
much every precast is allowed almost. Every kind of preparing the boss arena is allowed. So these traps are legit even by future rule sets. And yeah, the Power Chronos, they do make the split phase a little bit harder, because Power Chrono is such a bursty class, right? Like, once you either commit to one burst, or you commit to the other burst. The in-between thing is kind of bad, right? So it wasn't that... Like, if you committed too hard on the split phase to speed that up really much, you would lose a lot of DPS on the actual boss phase.
Have you got the log?
I do have a log for that, I think, yeah.
Or just send the video or something.
Oh yeah, you know what, I'll post both in the chat. So this is the LN run, and this is the SC run. So yeah, this is also like the as your phases change, the rotations also become a little bit more awkward. It's like, if your split phase is faster and your DPS phase was faster before, then you just end up in, like, weird positions with your DPS rotation on Dragon Hunter. And you have to, like, weirdly delay some skills to, like, get back into, like, a good bursty rhythm. That was another challenge to this one. So overall, I would say, actually, Gozawa was, like, just a very min-max kill, really.
Yeah, it's just outgrinding each other.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, who can save 1 second?
Yeah, it's one of these
off the
runs,
other
really,
person.
where, like, you have to, like, go super detailed to shave off a very small amount of time.
Yeah.
So. Alright. Then, unless you guys want to say anything else, I think we can move over to Cairn. And this actually...
Boss?
Hey, Harry, do we still talk to each other after this run? Do we still talk to each other? Can we still be friends?
I mean, yeah, maybe.
Alright. All right,
That's
all right. That's a nice way to say no. yeah, maybe. Talk to me after the stream and we'll see. All right. Okay, this is the final boss of the night, guys. This is Cairn, the most exciting one of them all again, right? But actually a really, really good time. And we actually, I think we did it was after we did some other boss. I think it was after we did Sabetha or something. We were like, okay, maybe we just try and see how much effort Cairn would be to do. Just sat down and just instantly decided.
So you have to reset the instance every single time you wipe, but it's not that bad in my opinion. Not compared to resetting SH and grinding RNG.
But just
bloodless sigils every time.
But just from the time, it's like you have to put in so much effort to get 1 second faster, I'd say, on Cairn, right? There's not much that you can't go in there and be okay, let's just revolutionize the strategy and we're gonna be 10 seconds faster. You go in there and you have to grind the same comp.
It's just DPS
and then hope. Yeah, and then I'd almost say it's even your connection to the servers. What time is left on the timer, you know?
A little bit, yeah. It almost felt like it didn't matter how much higher DPS we had, because we discovered it's kind of like CA and Deimos that we talked about. Higher DPS can kind of screw you.
Yeah.
We discovered a new DPS checks. After you get the boss 45%, he'll just completely skip a green, and then you'll have a lift sooner on in the last phase at 15% instead of 8%. So yeah, it almost felt like just a struggle. We were just grinding and grinding and grinding for just kind of almost good RNG on ports.
Exactly, and that's we went to Cairn and we were okay, let's try this once or twice, see how grindy and we just said no, let's call it a night and go to bed. Maybe some other day.
It's so linear, right? This boss,
we have 30 logs of 104s or 105s.
Yeah.
Before you just finally get a 103, barely.
It's really a lot of effort for but ultimately, you end up with that must have felt really good to end up with a 103 finally. So yeah, let's give it a watch. One funny thing maybe about Cairn is what comps do is instead of running 2 Chronomancers, you just run 1 Chronomancer and 1 DPS Renegade with the 10-man trade, right? So this is again another display of where one of these super hybrid DPS Renegade supports can shine. Because if the run is fast enough, then 1 Chrono can kind of keep up the quickness for that time, but you'll run into trouble with Alacrity. So this was actually, again, this is one of these comps that wouldn't work if you did this on a more casual run or a pug run, because you'd just run out of quickness after a while.
Yeah, and this is now kind of got more GCA, doing this now with stab and stuff like that. It's gonna be pretty interesting for this patch.
How did you guys do the stab? Let's talk about that maybe, because that's probably the one twist to the boss, right? That you would see it's the biggest difference to what a pug would do, I guess.
Obviously, we just use Nature Spirit.
It's just Nature Spirit, right?
The problem is, I don't think we actually had stability for the last lift, or did we? I don't recall.
Well, we can just look real quick. Where's the last screen even?
No, we absolutely did.
Yeah, you had stab, I think.
So, I don't know how long Nature Spirit lasts, but, you have to kill it in, a minute, or you're not going to have stability.
Exactly. It's always so weird. It's so weird on Cairn that you, have to almost... I never like this, that you have to,
I despise this boss.
It's somewhat... why does it give me this weird video choice at the end every time? You have to almost gamble for the RNG of the spirit, right? It's not really that huge a gamble. There's a really high percentage of times where you do get the stab, right? And it extends. But it's just annoying. Yeah, what is this? Never celebrate a goal this way, lads. Yeah, you should never do that. Let's just skip to some frame in the video. But yeah, well, God, this brought me off track. And now that they kind of made it less RNG on the spirit, now actually I think the timing doesn't fit, right? Isn't it that the cooldowns don't match now?
Yeah.
So it's actually really weird. And I was looking forward to the spirit changes. One of the explicit reasons was that I can finally control stab on Cairn now, and now the cooldowns end up not matching. So it's gonna be a little bit awkward in the future. But
I mean, it's okay that you get someone to take like mantra or something.
yeah,
and you can
or
get
I
super
mean,
safe kills.
you could probably just cast it earlier and extend it all the way.
Yeah.
Maybe you could like try that to like keep up the stab for like 10 seconds. So you'd have it back up for the next green. But yeah, it's gonna be. It just feels unnecessarily bad, you know? Like why would you not, like what's the difference if that skill was like 10 seconds faster?
Well, the rezzing potential, right?
But I mean, like it's
based
also
around
going to
those
kill
skills.
itself much faster, right? I don't know. It feels like on a run where you have so many downstays that would really matter is like that the healing itself that it takes to keep that spirit alive would be enough payoff to balance that. Well, yeah, I know. I don't know. Like that was something I was looking forward to and was kind of disappointed by recently. Yeah, okay. Anything else about this run? Anything else that is interesting and might interest our viewers about the Cairn?
No.
No.
It's such a straightforward boss.
No.
I don't know. Like, yeah, there's not much you can really do with it.
Yeah. And that, unfortunately, that's the case for many bosses. But I'm actually always pleasantly surprised when I look at speedrun, when I look at these records and patches, by how much still changes, because it's so easy to fall into this mindset of, oh, all time just doesn't... Like, I've had so many people at the beginning of speedrun.com come to me and say, hey, why do you even do this? Like, all times don't matter at all, because no all times ever get beaten. And then you have a patch like this come around, and you have 5 all times beaten in one patch. And there wasn't anything that was like especially broken in this meta, in my opinion, right? There wasn't an epi bounce that was just massively overpowered, right?
Well, Mirage is a bit of
Yeah, Mirage would be pretty strong, but
What do you mean?
it wasn't the Mirage that broke Cairn, right? That broke Matthias. It was the Boon Thief that broke Matthias, right? So there wasn't anything that like stood out in a way that old metas that did those records that now are considered unbeatable, right? Really happened, right? It's yeah, but I mean, obviously it's stronger, right? I'm just saying that it isn't like one of these crazy outlier misbalances. It's just like the way that the meta has kind of evolved. So, yeah, ultimately, I think I was pretty happy. Lots of all times. It just kind of proves to me that it does make sense to keep an eye on all times, and it does make sense to keep an eye on records overall, because probably the next most thing said to me was, why even care at all? Nobody even does these records anymore, right? But there are like 5 guilds out there that are actually fairly actively participating in this, which is, I think, pretty cool. So, yeah, there are some downsides to records and guilds too, I guess, but there are a lot of light at the end of the tunnel, I would say. So, I mean, that kind of concludes it, but we have maybe a little bit more stuff that we can quickly talk about. What do you guys think after the recent balance patch? What boss? What's your prediction for the future? Which bosses will we see interesting new records or strats?
I can't leak strats.
Ah, that's right. If you say it, then all the other guilds are gonna do it now.
I'm sure some things.
Power Reaper everywhere, right?
That's actually funny.
Just the way it is.
I was on a podcast on Thursday together with Nico, and we talked about the balance patch, a German podcast. And Nico legit said, answering the question, what does he think will change about the meta on bosses? He said, I can't say, because then other guilds will take it and do a record before us. That's amazing.
Yeah, we can't talk about that.
Well, one thing I think we can talk about is that it's. I think there's a lot more attention to these other support metas, right? We've seen that a lot this patch, that like a lot more classes stepped in for Chrono. We've seen Chrono kind of be replaced by other classes. Like the Boon Thief comp, just like reducing the Chrono as much as you can and instead bringing a Renegade that just brings the 10-man trade instead, right? I think it will go a little bit further this time. Like, Diviner Renegade did get a slight buff, and Chrono got a few changes. So we've been playing around. You might have seen Nightmare actually uploaded this. A Slothosaur using the Fire Brigade comp, right? We talked about this earlier, which is really, really promising. I actually think this is going to be the best strat for Slothosaur. And
it's good strat, that. I mean, the other cool thing this patch, like, because Rule is, whatever, weird. Like, he's been playing a lot of support Tempest in our guild run.
I've heard about that. I've heard that Raul had to learn the pains of being a healer and having everybody shout at you when they drop HP.
Because everything is his fault.
Yeah.
And, like, do you know what I mean? It's not better, but, like, it's still good, you know?
Yeah.
It's still, like, we had, like, good KC kills, like, good Xera kills with it. And, like, it makes it actually, like, really easy because you cover all boons, like, a lot of boons, and, like, you extend boons from Chrono as well. So, like, it's pretty chill, like, using it. It's pretty nice, this patch.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Also, like, kind of cuts out this problem of, like, insta-quickness, insta-alacrity, and having to be back for reapplication over extension, you know? Like the Gaussable split problem. So yeah, and then one more thing, of course, Grimjack is bringing it up. One thing we absolutely have to mention today. Harry, maybe you can talk to us a little bit about this. What is this viability competition that I keep hearing about? People keep saying, oh, Roca, what about the viability competition? Are you participating? I say no.
Oh, yeah.
It's a shit competition. Don't mention it.
It's true. So yeah, like a couple weeks ago, we rolled some like random comps, a random comp and a random boss, and people basically had 3 weeks to use that comp and get the fastest kill. Stuff kind of went tits up because I forgot there was a balance patch, and then the balance patch was delayed by a week. So everything's kind of got a bit messy now, but we've got some entries already. And the deadline is next Saturday, so the 23rd of March. So there's still time for people to enter. There's some pretty good times already come in. A couple of people have tryharded it quite a lot. Yeah, give it a go.
And we're going to watch those together as well, right? Here on stream.
Yeah.
I do think you agree to that, right? So I can get my free content off of SC. Nice.
It is a really cool initiative. I like it a lot. Even if I don't participate, maybe.
Do you have the Reddit post maybe, so we can link that in chat for the guys who are still interested in that?
Yeah.
You can also find a video on my YouTube channel actually of where we roll the classes and the wing live on stream. That is on my YouTube as well, so you guys can go and find that if you want to.
Yeah, got it. Can I send links? Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, go check that out. It's a really cool competition. It's basically like random comp, random boss that we drew. Go do it and get a cool, funny kill. And actually, I think the balance changes, if anything, made it even more spicy, right? With like the scrapper changes, and we have a scrapper in that comp, for example. I'm very excited to see what comes out of that, really. And also how people will juggle the quickness. Very interesting things in that. I'm really looking forward to watching all the submissions with you. Making people go find it instead of linking. Well, yeah, I'm baiting you to actually actively go and find my YouTube channel so you can subscribe there. Amazing. See, there's you guys think I'm not doing that on purpose? All right, but I think that concludes it, guys. And the final thing that is left for us to do is talk about our amazing guests who have talked about these runs with us, who were part of many of these runs that we've talked about today. So let's just start from the top. Harry, tell us who you are. What do you have going on as well except the viability competition, since we obviously talked about that already.
I'm Harry. With Snow Crows, I mean, we're like doing lots of like testing at the moment for like the new balance patch. Like, it's pretty cool. There's lots of like stuff changing. Like lots of new stuff coming into meta, or like good stuff to play.
Might be a good moment to mention that you're like the guy who's mostly in charge of the Snowcrows homepage as well, right?
Oh yeah, I'll update that.
So why not just like leave that here as well, a link to snowcrows.com, the leading page for meta guides, raid guides, and class build guides, etc. You guys also have a Discord, obviously most people already know that. Yeah, so go check all that stuff out. Oh, and go visit their Patreon, right? And go become a patron, because that directly influences the prize pool for the viability competition in the future.
Oh. I didn't realize there was a prize pool.
Yeah, there's 4,000 gems, I think, this time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And then it will...
Next patch has Hunters already donated 4,000 gems for next patch competition.
Really?
So
the next viability
more
competition...
for next month.
So the next competition is going to be like 8k gems then?
I need to look, but yeah, probably something like that, yeah.
That's pretty good. That's not bad at all, damn. So something to keep an eye on, guys. And, of course, Deaxxon. Tell us, what do you got going on in your life?
A decent amount, I guess. I am leader of Dungeon Ducks meta, so we're recruiting. If you're looking for like a good balance between chill attitudes and... I would say there's no better guild.
Would you say that you are the best guild on NA? Deaxxon.
We're pretty good. I'm not going to say that.
Come on, make some drama.
I'm not saying that.
Yes.
There are a lot of good guilds on NA, and we are one of them. I stream at Deaxxon with 2 X's. Probably going to be streaming some Dhuum CM and stuff tonight, so be sure to check that out. That's about it.
All right, amazing. Well, then there's nothing left to be said except, of course, follow this stream as well. If you really liked what happened today, this is going to be on YouTube, so let me know in the comments if you have any ideas on how to maybe improve watching videos together without weird lag video loading issues and stuff like this. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. We're going to raid another streamer, of course, but I'm going to jump into the end screen here, guys. So thanks for watching, and make sure to stay on and join the raid for the streamer that we're going to host. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.